Okay, let me know if I sound weird. I just had the thing that happens when I, disconnect my audio. So, if I sound really weird right now, that'll be why. And I'd love to know if that's the case, because there's no way for me to tell. But, hopefully I sound okay. Jack's computer goes bleep, bloop, bleep. It did, so we're still catching up on a little bit of a delay. You sound fine. Okay, thank you. Cool. I notice, however... Many a woman agrees. Oh, I hope so. It's not... Oh, because we don't have an audio output capture set up on this, do we? No, we don't. Well, let me change that real quick, because I do actually want the stream audio to be set up here. One sec. Right, we want to go over here. Control-C. And then... here... Control-V. There we go. Okay, because I want the music to be playing for a little bit. That's going to cause problems if there's any stream elements stuff that comes up. But we'll cross that bridge if it comes, if we find it. Hello everyone, welcome in Furious, welcome in Ghost, very good to see you. 1, 2, 3, 4, get down on the dance floor. I do love being welcomed to such fanfare. Billy saying hello to everyone properly. How you guys doing? Furious, Ghost, very good to see both of you. I wonder if the circle will hit the corner. It does. It does. That's when it loops. It's the only time you can reliably loop it. That's how I know. So today we're going to be starting not Divine Divinity. We're not going back to Divine Divinity. We're going to be playing Divinity 2. I wanted to start on this screen so that I can prove to the world for posterity that I did play Divine Divinity. Didn't play Beyond Divinity because I really like the story of Divine Divinity, but I hated the gameplay. And it's been a long time. I last played, oh my god, okay, so it's been 4 years. Wow, okay, more like 3. Like 3.5 years since I played Divine Divinity. Can't wait for another 1,000 hours of Divinity. Yeah. So that's also inaccurate. That is a glitch that happened. For some reason, Divinity just was... If I wasn't playing another game on my old computer, Divine Divinity was running, unless I force quit it in the task manager. So that's why my hours are so inflated, but I did play through it all the way. I saw as much as I could in a single first playthrough. And I don't want to go back. I thought about going back. Oh, is the camera frozen? Well, that's fine. You didn't miss anything. Thank you for letting me know, though. Unless your super still camera's frozen. No. What do I do about that? What do I do about that? Well... yeah, because all the USBs kind of freaked out. Let me see if I can do something about that on the software end of things. As long as I don't sound all distorted. If I just deactivate and reactivate this. Oh, that's fun. We're doing this again. Okay, I might have to unplug and plug it back in. Let me see if I can just... okay. I don't know why it does that. That's the second time we've observed that. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. Something about the USB hubs on this streaming computer just do not handle USB switchers very well, I guess. Maybe someday I'll get to the bottom of that, but it's an easy enough problem to overcome as is. So what I want to do today before we actually start Divinity 2, I've got that all set up. I've got the 4GB patch on there, and I've got another community patch on there, so hopefully it should be as smooth an experience as I can manage on Windows 10. Oh, I do need to run it in compatibility mode. That's, well, I'll see. That'll be, if something goes wrong, that'll be the first thing I try. But what I want to do today... Are you making cocktails for your upcoming Saturday event? I am! I'm going to be pre-bottling some cocktails, so that's probably what I'll be doing on Friday. It doesn't really make sense to stream that if I'm not going to be drinking any of them, so That is very much the plan. But what I want to do today is refresh my memory on what the hell happened in Divine Divinity, and then look up the story of Beyond Divinity before we actually get into Divinity 2. I don't think it's going to matter that much, because I doubt there's a whole lot of continuity between the two games, but there might be. So, we're just going to read through this. It's not going to take long, I don't think, because it's actually, as far as the story goes, not a very long game. There aren't even that many side quests. Most of Divine Divinity is just trudging through dungeons. It's a big part of why I was not interested in replaying it. Damn, the one morning shift I have is Saturday. Big sad. Well, don't worry, I won't be. I won't be streaming at all. You won't miss anything, Curious. So, we're just going to read through the wiki, pretty much, for the quests, look up the summaries, and yeah, that should be enough to jog my memory, I think. Let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think I am. Everything looks good. Alright. And Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2 are not the same as Divine Divinity and Divinity 2. So they're in the same universe, but they're like thousands of years apart from each other. And I think Original Sin is actually a prequel as well, the Original Sin games. So it's like, I don't think... Divine Divinity is kind of like, if I remember correctly, back when I was more familiar with the timeline, Divine Divinity is like the end of the timeline, I believe. And you're only really getting vague references to what ends up happening in Original Sin. Yeah. You learn a little bit about that. I have no idea where Divinity 2 is in the timeline. IRL event in LA, indeed. You are still missing it, that's true. Long walk for me, but I'm going to start tonight. You should make it. Yeah, you could do it. Forgot about the water. It's fair. So, the game takes place in Rivellon, a land that is slowly being torn apart by civil unrest, hatred, war, greed, and several other melancholic happenings. These events point towards the possibility that dormant dark forces are once again attempting to surface. With potential doom on the rise and Rivellon in pieces, there is only one hope of saving the land from being consumed by chaos: the discovery and ceremonial dubbing of the divine savior of the seven races. So, let's look through the main quest first, and then I'll look through side quests. I'll probably read all of these since there's not that many, and I'm sure most of these are very small wiki pages. But yeah, let's see what we got. Restore Mardanius' sanity. We don't need to look at the quick walkthrough. I do actually kind of want to look through the long bits. It's not going to be as arduous as going through those goddamn dungeons. I can tell you that. It's probably not that much. I'll swim a bit. Yeah, no, the tide should take you most of the way. You could also try parting the sea. That'd be cool. In unprecedented times. I wouldn't be all that surprised if Ghost turned out to be the Messiah. This is the first quest in the game. It is acquired by speaking to Joram in his house, where Lucian wakes up, Lucian being the main character. After talking to Joram, I probably never landed on a way to pronounce that, head southwest and watch the cutscene where Mardanius freezes Lanilor. After the cutscene, speak to Lanilor, who will ask to be freed from his icy prison, which seems to be a side quest. No, it is not. That is part of the deal. Okay. Oh, but it kind of is. Rescue Lanilor the elf from his icy prison. Is this considered a side quest, or rescue Lanilor the elf? Yeah, okay, so we'll be looking through links as well while we do this. I still don't think this is going to take very long. Just wanted to go to the trouble. I've seen The Simpsons. I already know what Mo says. I think that only works with a specific accent of that joke. Yeah. I don't know what that did not scan with me. Oh, Moses. Mo says, I see. I get it. I figured it out. It took me a moment. Let me see. So, once the cutscene of Mardanius freezing Lanilor in ice is completed, speak to Lanilor, who will advise you that there is a way into Mardanius' house through the cellar via the well to the east. Upon entering the cellar, travel south through the cellar to the... Yeah, I'm mostly looking for plot overviews, but the quick walkthrough is bullet points, and I want more than that. Once Lucian enters the house, Mardanius will speak with them, asking if they're an agent of Thelyron Hashnator. progress through the conversation, and eventually Mardanius and the hero will walk outside. Mardanius will then dispel the ice, releasing Lanelor. Right. I was not getting quite as much info out of the wiki as I was hoping, but that's okay. We get what we can. It's better than replaying the game. Once Lanelor has been freed, he will mention some catacombs underneath Alaroth. Alaroth being the town you wake up in, where Mardanius... Yeah, I've been putting the pieces together. The town that Mardanius is in charge of. Head east to the statue with 4 smaller dragon statues around and point them north. This will result in the statue being lifted off its base, and Lanelor will appear again, thanking Lucian for freeing him and giving him a teleporter pyramid, which I never used, which are apparently very important mechanics. Upon entering the catacombs, head through the door on the southern wall. On a plinth, surrounded by candles, a note from Mardanius can be found, warning of the perils of the catacombs. To proceed, one must unlock the door on the eastern wall, which is opened by the lever next to the doorway Lucian just passed through. Traverse the halls and rooms, collecting magic orbs to activate the portal in the southeastern room. As Lucian travels through the catacombs, he will encounter hostile skeletal warriors and skeletal archers. Upon reaching the passage immediately south of the room with the plinth, Lucian will meet Smiruk and his group of orcs who are seeking the magic axe Slasher. After speaking with them, continue through the passage and through the door to the north. In here are 3 pentagrams upon which a magical orb must be placed, opening the portal to access the room in the northeastern corner. Right, there's like a whole system with like placing furniture, and you can kind of... It's not really an exploit because it takes forever, but if you're over encumbered, you can like put stuff in a barrel and move the barrel with you, as long as you don't have to leave area, right? Head down the stairwell and to the northwest of the second floor. Enter the room in the northwest corner and go down the stairwell, dealing with the skeletons along the way, including a skeletal lord in the room with the stairwell. On the third floor, the entrance down is in the right-hand central coffin, which is locked. In order to open the coffin, the 4 coffins on the raised levels of this floor must be opened. With each coffin opened, Lucian will be faced with a horde of skeletons, alongside a skeletal lord, skeletal guardian, or a ghoul. Once the coffins have been opened and the hordes dealt with, proceed down to the 4th floor. On the 4th floor, head east, then south through the passage, pass through the door. We're probably not going to read all the overviews of the dungeons. They do all kind of blend together after a while. Pass through the door on the southern wall, head east again, follow the passage. This is more of a walkthrough than an overview of the quest. Follow the passage south again, and towards the end, a cutscene between 2 skeletal warriors having an existential discussion will ensue. Very fun. That was a good intro to the sort of humor in Divine Divinity, that little... I don't remember the details, but it was fun. It was fun voicing the skeletons. Once the cutscene is finished, go through the door on the western wall. The one to the east will take you to the second teleporter pyramid. And here, there is another stairwell. Head down and go due south into the central chamber. You had to have an accent that pronounces both Moses and says in a very unusual way. Looking up a guide for a game you're not even playing. I just want to remember what happened in decent detail. Oh, and here's some combat music. This is fun. Upon entering the central chamber, Desmond will tell Lucian that the skeletons are having trouble resurrecting Theleron Hashnator. This is because okay, I'm just gonna... Oh, can I not pause that? Apparently not. I don't know what happened to that. Why can't I pause this? I should be able to. Stabby the Clown, that's the person who uploaded it. I didn't make the name. Well, here, I'm gonna lower it a little bit for the stream, for one. And then I'm gonna lower it for me. There we are. That'll work. Yes, this is the Divine Divinity OST. I thought it would make sense for while we're reading this. No. That's the artist, the author, if you will. Works better when it's actual music that's not just been uploaded by people, but... This is because the skeleton who's to pull the lever of strength has decomposed. Head to the northwest corner and pull the lever, thus resurrecting Theleron. Upon his resurrection, he will initially be grateful and allow Lucian to leave without being assaulted by his undead legion. However, he will soon realize that the resurrection has not gone as anticipated and begs to be killed. Either agree and kill him or refuse, and he will initiate combat, resulting in him dying regardless. Upon his death, legions of undead will appear, and any attempt to destroy the legion will almost certainly result in Lucian's death. Although it is possible possible to fight them all. Head north, back out of the central chamber, and Mardanius will appear, eliminating the horde in an instant. After a brief conversation with him, pass through the portal. See, this is the thing. After a brief conversation with him, that's kind of what I want detailed in this. Pass through the portal, which will take both Mardanius and Lucian back to Mardanius's house. Brilliant, and apparently this page is a stub. So, I could have gone through and updated this myself. Meet the wizard Zandalor at the Dwarven Bread Inn. After Lucian is saved from John... Who's John? How did we get to John? John is a dragon rider who encounters Lucian to the south of Valorant. I don't remember his name being John. I do remember the dragon rider. Well, and if it isn't one of the marked ones wandering around in the woods like a little lost lambkin. A dragon rider has been charged by his mistress to seek out and eliminate the marked ones. He discovers Lucian is on the road south of Alaroth and senses that he has the aura of a marked one about him. Upon attempting to kill Lucian... Is this in alphabetical order, these quests? I don't think so. I mean, no, it's definitely not in alphabetical order, but it does seem to be in the order in which you get them. It's just the way the wiki designates what are main quests and what aren't is weird. Let me see if I can do it like this. Is there a next quest? No, it's not ordered that way on the wiki. Okay, so we'll just have to piece this together. It's a serial killer, that clown. I would think so. That's a pretty go-to name for a clown killer. Yeah. When are they going to talk about the boss fight with Stabby the Clown? We'll get there. Okay. So, restore Mardanius' sanity. Doesn't even have, like, a link to the quest next. What about if I go to Mardanius' house? It's just a page for the actual house. This is an annoyingly structured wiki. Okay. So yeah, we just kind of glance over that. Is there maybe, meet at Mardanius' house? Is that a side quest? Apparently I should have just done this last night and prepared a presentation for the stream. This was turning out to be a little bit more work remembering what happened than I thought it would be. But it's okay. It's fine if this is more of a broad overview. I really doubt it comes up that much. So, Zandalor tells Lucian to meet him at the Dwarven Bread Inn along with other marked ones. Meet the wizard Zandalor. So, we can close this. Find Zandalor. Okay, no. I guess Zandalor just comes up at some point. In between Mardanius' house and this encounter with John. Okay. There were a lot of wizard characters. It got a little tricky to keep track of after a while. After Lucian is saved by Jean, Zandalor tells Lucian to meet him at the Dwarven Bread Inn, along with other marked ones. When Lucian gets to the Dwarven Bread Inn, another marked one, Wooter, is already there, but Zandalor is nowhere to be found. Wooter said that Zandalor would be in Stormfist Castle looking for the third marked one. Even though Zandalor told Wooter to wait in the Dwarven Bread Inn, Lucian decides to go in castle in case Zandalor needs help. Quest is marked as failed at this point, but this isn't a stub. Okay, find Zandalor. I remember the other marked ones being pretty short-lived characters. I don't think they live long enough to be all that noteworthy. This is definitely a stub. When Lucian finally arrived at the Dwarven Bread Inn, where Zandalor issued a meeting with the other marked ones, Zandalor was not there. Instead, another marked one named Wooter. Oh, this is just... okay. Strange. Enter Stormfist Castle. Enter Stormfist Castle is a quest in Divine Divinity. Completing this quest and entering Stormfist Castle will temporarily close off access outside of the castle. To enter Stormfist Castle, an invitation must be acquired, which will only be given to a person who has done a heroic deed. The captain of the guard suggests to either help the army with the Orc invasion, speak with Commander Ralph of Rivertown Watch to help with the plague. General Alex will offer to send the hero to the front lines and Captain Mitox to aid in the defense of the Orcs. In the defense of the Orcs? I don't think... In addition to these two routes, exposing the Duke's murderer will also grant an invitation. One of these tasks must be completed. Return to Ralph, and if helping with the plague or exposing the Duke's murder, obtain the letter of invitation from Ralph. If aiding on the front lines, speak to Captain Mitox and return to General Alex and obtain her letter of invitation. I don't remember how I handled this. I'm pretty sure I very slowly killed all of the Orcs that were a problem, and that got me in, but I also think I did some of the... I think I helped with the plague as well. In fact, that's probably where I immediately went, was to help with the plague, because I was terrible at this game's combat. Complete either poison the Orc's water supply, Dr. Elrath exposed, or expose the Duke's murderer. This... Dr. Elrath exposed is triggering me in a way that makes me think that there were a lot of bugs with this particular quest. I want to know more about that. Dr. Elrath Exposed is a quest in Divine Divinity. Unlike many side quests, this quest is the closing objective for other quests. Who is responsible for the harvest? Oh, that's right. I couldn't finish this properly because it was bugged. Yeah. Like, I learned something about him, but I think the person I needed to tell about it died, or I finished the thing that this would have gotten me anyway, so it didn't matter. Right. Poison the Orc's water supply. Oh, I remember this, too. I just sprinted through. I made every effort not to fight any of the Orcs, and I just ran up to this and dropped the poison in and ran away. It worked pretty well, all things considered, and it was good XP. After speaking to Captain Mitox, Lucian will be asked to breach the Orcs' camp and poison their water supply. It is possible, but highly dangerous, to cross the battlefield to reach the camp and breach the entrance. However, there is an alternative path via the hatch in the buildings on the southeast side of the destroyed village. This path will take Lucian under the battlefield and leads out into the middle of the camp. It is not without danger, but the number of Orc troops within are significantly less than those out on the battlefield. Upon exiting the shaft, one will immediately be set upon by Orcs. However, if doing so at night, the number of troops will be lesser. From here, head south to find the well, drag drop the poison on the well to taint it. Once done, return to Mitox through the underground path or over the battlefield. I remember that. Expose the Duke's murderer. I don't know if I did this. Ralph doesn't believe that the Duke died a natural death. He believes that the arrow that hit the Duke was poisoned due to fewer only after few hours after what? Okay, maybe we do need to replay the game so that we can fix this busted-ass wiki. Do fewer only after few hours after being hit. Such arrows are also known methods of assassination used by Guild. Knowing this, he sends Lucian to speak with Sir Dante. Rumor has it that he has connections with the Guild. Go to Verdistis, Verdistis, and speak with Sir Dante. When asked about the Assassin's Guild connection, he asks who spreads rumors of his connection. Answering Zandalore, not important, makes Dante forthcoming of introducing Lucian to Assassin's Guild. But he needs favor done first. This must have been translated from another language. It's the only thing that explains this at this point. Stealing Sir Patrick title deed, he also marks Sir Patrick's mansion and gives idea that the deed is in Patrick's hidden vault, but cannot give details about how to enter the vault. I remember this, but I ended up getting to Verdistis way after Stormfist Castle. Wiki can't be wrong, can it? Can it? It's my best bet at this point. So, enter Stormfist Castle, an appointment with the new ruler of Ferrol. Oh, alright, well, complete the quest, enter Stormfist Castle, speak with Zigzax, the Almost Wise. Starts the quest, retrieve my teleporter stones. Okay, I do need to know about Zigzax, the Almost Wise. Oh, he comes up in Original Sin. That's fun. A little bit of a spoiler, but I mean, that's fine. Sometimes referred to as Zigzax, is an imp historian who has traveled Rivellon for eons in his quest for preserving knowledge. We could probably look at the background. Comes up in Divinity 2 apparently as well, and in Original Sin. This guy's all over the place. All right. Zixzax is an imp historian of unknown origin who was ordered by the gods to record the history of everything. During his travels, he came across many prominent figures about which he wrote books and taught magic to aspiring mages such as Ikara. During his quest for knowledge, he discovered that the time itself will come to an end. This seems like heavy spoilers. One day he came upon a starstone at the border of Nemesis, a distorted plane where Ranar reside. The stone led him to the end of time, where he was... yeah, wow, okay. Several centuries later, he reappeared at Stormfist Castle in 1218 AD, where he approached the marked one Lucian and comments that he is perfectly in the middle of order and chaos. After remarking that he would write a book about him, he asks the Divine to let him look at the teleporter pyramids he is carrying. Zixzax exclaims that he will use them to search for more teleporter pyramids as he steals them from the Divine. The theft left the Mark I effectively imprisoned at the castle, as he was against his will forced into a role of Lord Protector, a bodyguard of Janus Ferrell. I see. During his travels, Zixzax is imprisoned at the Council of the Seven by a succubus who waited there for Zandalor and Lucian. The succubus is subsequently slain by Lucian after he and Zandalor arrive at the council. With the succubus slain, Zixzax was freed and immediately confronted by the Divine about the theft. Zixzax willingly returns the teleporter pyramids and explains the Divine what he knows about the origins of the Lord of Chaos. That's why I didn't engage with the teleporter pyramids, because I got them stolen from me so early in the game that I just learned how to play without them. By the time I got them back, I was so done with the fucking game. I wasn't going to learn to play a new way. Little is known of his whereabouts directly after Lucian's ascension. However, in 1238 AD, there was sightings of an imp historian upon Nemesis, a plane now ruled by demons from hell who have overthrown the Ranar. There he had helped a trapped paladin in their death knight. These are the main characters of Beyond Divinity. Companion to escape from a hole by giving them the teleporter pyramid. Cool. Okay. We don't need to read further because I wouldn't have known. I'm not playing Beyond Divinity under any circumstances because it's more of the same, and I can't deal with old school ARPG dungeon divers. It's just not fun. This guy is jack coded. He kind of is, isn't he? Silly man, almost wise, approximate knowledge of many things. Speak with Theus and follow him to the throne room. Speak with Janus Ferrell and Ilana. Complete the following subquests in this order. Right. Let me look up Janus Ferrell. I remember he's like a kid, basically, but he's got like a demon possessing him, essentially, something like that. Janus Ferrell is the 12-year-old Duke of Ferrell and the antagonist of Divine Divinity. After his father's death, ostensibly of a heart attack, Janus Ferrell became the Duke of Ferrell, despite being only 12 years old. According to some of his subjects, his rule has been surprisingly stable despite his age, mostly credited to his advisor. Sometime before the start of Divine Divinity, he began declaring himself the Divine One, and recruits a local hero as his Lord Protector. During their time as Lord Protector, Janus has the hero carry out meaningless tasks like finding his cat, delivering letters to his concubine Layla. He only calls upon them for real work during a meeting with several aristocrats and merchants, apparently to reinforce his status as Divine One. After being attacked by orc assassins during the meeting, Janus has the hero thrown out of Stormfist Castle. Over the course of the game, Lucian and Zandalor discover that Janus had his father assassinated. When he was younger, Janus touched the Sword of Lies, a vessel made to imprison the Demon of Lies. This released the demon, who destroyed Janus' soul and engineered his rise to power to spread chaos. After a ritual to turn the hero into the actual Divine One, Janus arrives at the Council of Seven and kills all but 2 of them, revealing his true demonic form to the few survivors. The hero arrives back in Rivellon 2 months later, while the Demon of Lies, who has dropped his Janus disguise entirely, is preparing to resurrect his god, the Chaos Demon, through a human baby. The hero, now the Divine One, fights his way through the demon's forces and kills him, although too late to prevent the baby from becoming the Chaos God's vessel, setting up the events of Beyond Divinity. Cool. Okay. Next. I don't know, man. I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to just go into Divine Divinity again and use the character editor to make myself super overpowered to re-experience all this, but why? Why do that to myself? No, we gotta get through the franchise before the new game comes out. We've still got some massive CRPGs to get through. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. We're gonna do this. Retrieve my teleporter stones. I think we've already kind of gotten that. Success and oh boy, find the Sword of Lies, aid the third marked one, kill the succubus. Yeah, let's go through these real quick. We're gonna be kind of knocking out side quests as we go. There's got to be a YouTube video. There almost certainly is. I'd kind of like to make one potentially if I can get through these. When's the new Divinity game coming out? When is it slated? Divinity release date. Release date estimate. Just one about is fine. Officially announced. Here's what we know. Divinity currently doesn't have a set release date, though we imagine it'll come sometime in 2028. Okay, 2028. We've got time. We've absolutely got time. With 8 hours a week, I think we could realistically get through Divinity 2, Dragon Commander, and both Original Sin games. I think we could do that if I really stick to this. If Divinity makes up the entirety of what we're doing in between now and Fallout 4, I think we could do it. So yeah, I'd kind of like to put together just like, hey, here's everything you need to know about the franchise going into the new game. 50 minutes? 50 minutes. 50 minutes. 50 minutes. I believe in you, Jack. I hope so. I hope everyone believes in me. Someone has to. Let me see. Appoint with the new ruler of Ferrol, escaping Stormfist Castle. Escaping Stormfist Castle is a main quest. It is automatically accepted as part of the main quest and appointment with new ruler Ferrol, where Duke Janus Ferrol appoints you as Lord Protector till you die or 40 years pass. This quest can only be completed by completing all 6 subquests, and yeah, that's just because he kicks you out. After you are let out by the guards, you will be approached by Alana, who will reveal to be Iona, a Black Ring cultist and superior of Dr. Elrath. The quest is automatically completed once you are let out of the castle. The shortest summary of Divine Divinity I could find was 15 minutes. Okay, I see. We can. I'd kind of rather just read the wiki myself. I'm sure I'll be roughly in a roughly the same amount of time. And it's gonna be like a summary. I want more than just a summary. I want a little bit more at least. I want to kind of relive it through my own vague memory of the game. Where is Zandalore? Put on the 50-minute video now. I won't. Let's see. Speak with Arhu. Arhu, if I recall correctly, is another frequently recurring character who often is a cat. Not always. So I don't want to look at stuff right around here. 1,222 years after the events of where a lot of the franchise exists is where Divine Divinity is, which makes it largely irrelevant. To that, like, Original Sin was a reboot for a reason. You're going way back in time to before any of this shit mattered, but I don't care. It's the order that they delivered the franchise in, isn't it? 1,222 years later, Arhu encountered a marked one, Lucian, but this is unknown to him at the time. Unconscious on the road, he leads Yoram, one of the healers, to his body before departing there, because it was a healer community, that community where Mardanius led. Upon Zandalore's disappearance, he takes on the role of the court cat at Stormfist Castle and is known as Ernie, a name which he himself does not approve of, so as to be able to help locate his wizard friend. Following the Marked One's departure from the castle, Arhu's actions become hazy again until he appears in Iona's dungeon to aid Lucian's escape. In the years after Lucian's ascension, Arhu aligns himself with the Divine, taking a direct role in military operations, most notably the decision to use Death Fog, displaying concerns that it could enter friendly territory. In addition to this, he is the mechanist behind Lucian's tomb and arcs following the Divine One's staged death in 1242 AD. That seems like Divine Divinity or Divinity 2 spoilers, so we're gonna stop reading there. Okay, complete quest, find my equipment. Oh, Iona's dungeon is such a pain in the ass. It's like 6 or 7 floors or something like that, and it goes on forever and ever and ever. Speak with Arhu in the graveyard. Excuse me. Speak with Rob, Master of the Thieves Guild in Verdistes. Complete the side quest Thieves Guild entry tests. I don't even know if I actually finished that because I wasn't skilled enough. I didn't engage with the Fighter Guild either, if I remember right. Then occasionally go, wow, guys, that's a good idea. That'll be good content. No, you're right. Enter the sewers, either Rivertown Market through Poor Quarter, Stormfist Castle, defeat Ryu Gore and his orcs, speak with Zandalor. Can I learn a little bit more about Ryu Gore? Is a Death Knight in service of the Black Ring. He appears in Divine Divinity. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's all you need to know. Okay, find the Sword of Lies. Right. Learn the password, magical door, treasury, find out that the Sword of Lies is gone, pick up the toy dragon, speak with Zandalor, right? And aid the third one, the third marked one. Speak with Zandalor, teleport out of Stormfist Castle, witness Wooter fight with the Dragon Rider, approach Wooter's body, speak with Zandalor, right? Just killing marked ones, really. And then kill the succubus, which is arriving at the Council of Seven and doing all that. We've already read about that. Okay. Up next, escaping Stormfist, where is Zandalor? Find the Sword of Lies, aid the third marked one, kill the succubus, gather the Council of Seven. This is like Act 2, basically. When the broader quest has been revealed to the hero, and now things get complicated and long and drawn out. So, Wizard Council member, that'll be Zandalor. Dwarf Council member. No detailed walkthrough, I'll just have to try and remember. Use the scrying device for the dwarves at the Council of Seven. Optional, speak with Zandalor. Go to Glenburus and speak with Aeolus, Thunderstorm. Oh, right, the dwarves. They have their own little hall that's like, you know, it's in the side of a mountain, of course, but it's deep in this kind of dangerous forest. Start the quest, retrieve the Axe of Stone. I forgot all about this part of the game. Retrieve the Axe of the Stone, speak with the imprisoned elf held responsible for the theft, speak with Gregor Dunitrim, the mayor of Glenburus. Start the quest, Password of the Century, go to the Dwarven Halls, speak with Carbondel, enter Dol Pearden Mines, then Dwarven Halls, approach the Sentry, tell the Sentry the correct password, defeat Moriandor, speak with Kelp Dunitrim. Oh, yeah, and the dragon armor, which I went to great lengths to acquire. I don't even know if I could equip it properly. Speak with Aeolus Thunderstorm. Yeah. They're ultimately, you don't get that much lore on the dwarves, but I do remember it being one of my favorite parts of the game, just to walk through the little dwarven halls. A lot of fun characters in there. There's the smith you interact with for the dragon armor. That was fun. There were things I really liked about this game. It's just the dungeon diving was so boring. I remember this song too. Great music in Divine Divinity. I need to incorporate this into my daily listening. I'm sure this is gonna help. No detailed walkthrough for this, that's fine. Elven Council member. Use the scrying device for the elves at the Council of Seven, speak with Zandalor, travel into Fiu Nimble in the Dark Forest and speak with Brontheon da Anthalus. Complete the side quest, find out who is guilty for destroying the Elven burial grounds. I remember this as well. The elves are like just south. They're like southeast of the dwarves, if I remember correctly. Travel south to the Elven burial grounds, witness the dwarves desecrating the grounds. Follow the dwarves into Orcish camp, enter the cave in the Orc camp, speak to Josephine, return to Fianimble and speak to Brontheon. Yeah, just get Brontheon on board after solving a little problem for them. Human Council member. Accept the quest to gather the Council of Seven, scrying device, go to Alaroth, accept the quest, Alaroth has been invaded. Oh, right, this is the part where, yeah, Alaroth being Mardanius's community, the healer community that saved you, and the orcs had gotten in by now. Defeat the orcs and approach Mardanius' house. Accept the quest to defeat Demona. Defeat Demona. Can I maybe get a little bit more information on this? Because I think Mardanius is a character who does actually get some time to be expanded on in a way that particularly like Brontheon doesn't. What was that? It was defeat Demona. Can I find that perhaps? It might not actually be. It might not even have a page, unfortunately. No. No, apparently not. Okay. I don't remember shit about Demona, but it is what it is. How much time passed in between, let's say Beyond, here? Yeah, well, we can just Beyond Divinity release 2004, and then, Divinity 2 release. Please don't tell me Original Sin. 2009, so 5 years in between the two games. I don't imagine they were expecting. I don't think even the people at Larian have much nostalgia for the first two games in the series, so I don't think they were really expecting people to have gone even into Divinity 2 having played the first two games. We'll see though. I'll have played the first one, and the thing is, I think the impression I get from Beyond Divinity is that it's just one big dungeon, because you're in like the underworld the whole time, and it's, you know, they've expanded a little bit on the combat system since you have two people, a Death Knight and the main character, or I might have those reversed. The main character might be a Death Knight. It's two main characters really, but they have some connection. I don't quite remember. We'll find out. I'm gonna look at a much more broad overview for Beyond Divinity when we get there. But yeah, Zandalor, or Mardanius, is the human Council of Seven member. You go and help him and get him there. The Lizard Council member. I forgot about the lizard people. There's no detailed walkthrough. Speak with Zandalor after using the scrying stone for the lizard. Start the quest, convince Gomo. Gomo! Oh, yeah, Gomo. He's also in Mardanius' community that just enters and exits my brain. Does not stick around. Right, I remember Gomo. He's cool. He's a good guy. You can choose to help him or the dwarf healer. And I think it's kind of just a moral quandary more than anything, you know. Why is Billy Butcher in the recommended page? Oh, I didn't see him. I just kind of blocked that out, honestly. It's just the fandom wiki, though, so that just kind of shows you everything, doesn't it? Go to Blue Boar Inn, because it says Council of Seven. They've started recommending the boys' characters, so I see. Very strange. Go to the Blue Boar Inn and speak with either Otho Rignaphoroix or Yoram. Start the quest. Gomo has left the Blue Boar Inn, return back to the council and use the scrying stone for lizards again. Gomo has been captured. Go to Verdistes and speak with Trevor at the Merchants Guild. Enter the house and speak with Cornelius. Wait until Zandalor comes and breaks the freeze spell. Transform Gomo back to his original form. Find the polymorph wand and transform Gomo back to his original form. I don't remember doing this at all, but I must have. Maybe I was pretty checked out by this point. Is that something, transform Gomo? Can I get a little bit more information on how that quest shakes out? Heartbreaking. The game you're playing only has a fandom wiki. Yeah, honestly, there might be more, but I doubt anything is as updated as this. Though there are the old Larian forums. They've still got a lot. Actually, here, maybe I can get more information. Forums, Divine Divinity. That's where I got a lot of my information back in the day. But I don't think this is gonna really be the place for that. Yeah. I'm gonna have a hard time finding overviews. I'm gonna have a hard time finding anything on forums like this. There's people still post on here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, people are talking about Baldur's Gate 3. It's not dead. Where, if I go all the way down... Beyond Divinity, Divine Divinity, General. Oh, but then General just redirects to the main General page, kind of. I guess these are pinned. I see. Yeah, and it's mostly just people asking, like, things they need to know going in. Yeah, still as early as 2024, 2025. People are still talking about this game. That's crazy. Alright, well, I think it's gonna have to be the fandom wiki, unfortunately. Hard drive or whatever the gamer onion is called, they can have that one. I'm not familiar at all with that publisher. Hard drive. I didn't know there was a gamer equivalent of the onion. Well, that's what you do with Gomo, I guess. And the Orc Council member, which is there's no link, but I remember there being something to that. Maybe you have to just find a replacement for the Orc Council member, because I don't think there's any reasoning with the orcs at this point. Basically the onion, but for nerd stuff. Interesting. I haven't heard of that. Imp Council member. Use the scrying device for the imps. Go to Ducal Inn in Radistis and speak with Zach Nadrix. Start the quest, enter a magical world. Speak with Bee Queen Lysandra. Start the quest, the bees and the wasps. I do remember the magical world with the bees and the wasps. Speak with Rhaegon. Decide, kill either all the bees or wasps. Defeat Rhaegon if you side with the bees. Speak with either Rhaegon or Lysandra. Enter the church and speak with Antx. Start the quest, leave the magical world. Speak with Antx at the Council of Seven. Speak with Zandalore. Tell me about Antx. Antx is the imp member of the Council of Seven and former Black Ring agent in 1218. A former member of the Black Ring, Antx sought safety in a realm contained in a crystal ball, hiding in the buildings to the north of the realm. With the key in the possession of Leandra, Queen of the Bees, he remained in hiding until the arrival of Lucian to convince him to join the Council of Seven. Joining the Council, Antx takes part in the ritual to ascend Lucian to divinity. During the ritual, Janus Farrell and a troop of orcs invade the chambers, killing Antx and in the battle that ensued. Right, not a very critical character, just a fun little thing to do with bees and wasps. Oh my god, I remember that bit more and more the more I think of it. I was so fucking done with the game by now, and there was so much more to go. By the time we got to the bees and the wasp, I think I was just kind of... I was having fun with the charming little Magic World quest. Why didn't the Eagles do anything to stop 9/11 from happening? It's one of their headlines. I see. They should have. Should have just taken the Eagles, you know? We could have taken the Eagles all the way to Osama bin Laden. That would have been that. It's quite the plot hole. No, that's good. I'll try to remember them. Okay. Gather the Council of Seven. Everybody comes and kills them. Begin the Blessed Ritual. Begin the Blessed Ritual main quest. After all members of the council are gathered and the player has spoken to Zandalore, who asks the player to sound the gong. The ritual begins immediately after the gong is sounded, which will result in the cutscene to play. Before sounding the gong, make sure all quests are completed, otherwise they will be marked as failed. Items which are not in your inventory will be lost. So I think by this point, I mean, the thing is, gathering the Council of Seven is very much like, okay, go explore the rest of the world. And I think I did that. I was pretty good about scanning the map up and down every time I found a new region. So I saw most of the game that I could. The only thing that prevented me from engaging with quests was just not being able to do it, not having the skill for it. I really should have just been playing this game with a character editor from the beginning, just to make the actual game easier. I think I was playing on the highest difficulty as well, which wasn't helping. No, I think I actually lowered it. I think I lowered it after the first couple dungeons. Complete the quest, begin the Blessed Ritual, speak with Garth and Drox, ask Drox to give you the map of the region, speak with Zandalore and Arhu. Right. I have awoken in a strange desert-like wasteland. The last thing I remember is sacrificing myself in the blessing ritual, after which I magically saw my friends attacked and slaughtered. I hope some of them got away. I must now seek out signs of civilization in this place. Oh, right. No, it was by this point that I was absolutely done, because now there was this big desert that I had to look... I mean, I insisted that I go up and down scanning, full of enemies, no fun narrative content. There's, oh my god, and there's like this, there's still a side quest in there. There's this strife happening among the survivors in this desolate land. Right, stop the summoning ritual. Speak with Zandalor and Arhu on the edge of the wasteland village, complete the sub-quest Become a Ghost, or invest 1 skill point into spirit form. I think I already had spirit form, so I didn't have to become a ghost. Quest is completed by speaking with Patriarch the Black, north of the Black Lake Swamp. I remember the swamp too. Enter the Black Lake dungeon, complete the subquest Kill the Black Ring by defeating Demona, Cornelius, Moriandor, Iona, and Josephine. I think I managed to stick to it up until until the final dungeon. I don't think I used a character editor to buff myself up to fight all of these guys, but Iona, the last person, the last confrontation, I absolutely was broken for. Okay. And I must kill the Demon of Lies. Complete the quest Stop the Summoning Ritual by killing all the Black Ring Generals, reach the entrance to the final section of the dungeon, activate the levers at the opposite end of the dungeon, approach the Demon of Lies, defeat the Demon of Lies. Right. Right. I think I made the right call by not replaying the game. Okay. Couple of side quests I'd like to look at. Let's just go bit by bit. A Murder in Verdistes. Talk to Kratos, head to the Pierce's wine barrel, and talk to Pierce under the Kratos is having trouble with a murder spree in Verdistes, initially suspecting the Assassin's Guild. The corpses were found sucked dry of blood, which doesn't fit the modus operandi of an assassination. Kratos is a second suspect, Pierce, since a witness saw an individual leaving his shop. Head east to Pierce's wine barrel and speak to Pierce, who claims to have been asleep the nights of the murders. To help clear his name, he grants Lucian the permission to search his shop. Head south, then west to the cellar entrance and to the cellar proper. Against the northern wall are several stacked boxes. Move these away to discover a coffin with the vampire Tutamun sleeping inside. Speaking with Tutamun confirms Pierce's innocence. The vampire had used hypnosis to hide his presence from the shop owner. If he was encountered in Alaroth, he will also confirm to have been seen speaking to George. I remember this, and to killing him if George's body was found after his murder. Deeming Lucian to be a threat, he will turn hostile and must be killed. Once Tutamun is dead, return to Kratos to inform him of the true culprit and his death. This will improve Lucian's reputation with Kratos by 5. Right. I went through so much of the game with this quest in my log, trying to figure out who killed George. And you have to go all this way, because you do see George interacting with a vampire. I do remember that very early in the game, you see George interacting with a vampire, and it's just, you know, what the hell are you going to do? You're so low level. Yeah, that's right. It's all coming back to me. A trapped friend. Talk to Diana, join the Merchants Guild by either killing Maria, even restoring her reputation, or paying 10,000 gold coins to the guild. I don't think money was ever a problem for me in this game, but I also didn't really engage much with the merchants until the end. In Verdistes, Lucian encounters Diana, whose cat Cosmo dropped in shaft, leading to cellar of building that merchants use. It's not possible to wander into the cellar because only members of the Merchants Guild are able to enter it. Alongside this, the members dislike cats, which makes it impossible to ask them about the cat. The only possible choice is to join the Merchants Guild, either by once Lucian becomes a member, he was granted an access to the archives. More keys were found on the writing table, right on the entrance to the cellar where Cosmo was trapped. I don't remember Cosmo specifically, but I remember being excited for all the books that they had in the Merchants Guild, and I think at that point I finished reading all the books that were in the game. I don't remember many lore implications, to be honest. You're 1200 years after Original Sin, so you don't get much information on that, but you get a little bit. When talking with Graham in the Ducal Inn, he will tell the hero about his scar and how he lost an eye during a knife fight with Sirgon, and once Sirgon dead, this also cost him his position in the Ducal army. Graham promises to give one of his gloves as reward for Sirgon's death. Head to Sirgon, who is due west from the Ducal Inn. Sirgon tells another part of the story about Graham's lost eye. Graham was sleeping with Sirgon's wife, who he himself was beating, and Sirgon retaliated by taking Graham's eye out. Now one can choose to either kill them or not get involved, right? Becoming a member of the Warriors Guild. I didn't do this, and clearly it doesn't even have a wiki page, so I didn't miss anything. Bring Finnegan his magic lockpicks. The Verdisti City Watch is east of the... Oh, okay, you do want to read this. Retrieve lockpicks from Commander Kratos' office. He won't do it himself, since Kratos would execute him due to his previous run-in with him. Lucian would only get some jail time if he got caught. I'm pretty sure I did this. It clearly doesn't matter that much. Broken wheel. Oh, thank you. We'll go ahead and update that later. Talk to Luther, who explains the situation with the cart. You can then go to the new wheel from Marcus. Yeah, just replace a cart for a guy. Catch the thief. When traveling in farmlands, Lucian encounters Tom, who has lost many of his cattle due to thievery. He knows the thief must be nearby, since it is impossible to lead stolen cows more than a few miles without drawing attention in the area. The cattle, or what is left of them, can be found in the poor area in Dorian's cellar. Upon confronting Dorian about the meat in his cellar, he admits being the thief, since it was the only way for him to survive. Either turn Dorian in, rewarding some experience and +2 reputation increase with Tom, and reputation decrease of -10 with Dorian, as well as him being executed due to thievery, or keep Dorian's secret, which rewards less experience but increases 1 reputation, but Tom by 3. Yeah. Okay, collect herbs for George. Talk to George and Elleroth. Lucian, from Lanelor's garden, in George's room, right? Drudene, that's how you discover that George is making drugs or selling drugs or something, and there was some connection between that and the vampire. Yeah. Imperceivable glasses, Jack. That is me with imperceivable. Oh, I see. I see. Very nice. That's a good use of that. Very nice. After leaving George's shop, head northwest to Lanelor. Is that an hour already? We will get to the actual game that we're on the category for shortly. I don't think there's nearly as many side quests than Beyond Divinity, but we'll see. After leaving George's shop, head northwest to Lanelor's home. His garden is to the west of the house. Rescuing him, warning about Drudene and its addicting effects. I don't know why that's a feature when the options are so shit, unless they let you add your own. Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's a really cool thing they've done, but it'd be cooler if you could add, like you said, add your own mixture of emotes into that little utility. There's so little you can actually do with it. Permission has not been sought. Enter the garden. Otho will approach. Lucian will ask what they are doing in the garden. Lucian's reputation with Otho will drop as a result. Right. We got the Drudene for George for all the good it did. Contact Captain Mytox. Upon speaking to Alex after the orc attack on the army barracks, she will ask Lucian to deliver a message to Captain Mytox, who is leading the troops on the front line. She hands Lucian a sealed message. I do remember this. Yeah, it's really inconsequential, the conflict between the humans and the orcs. There's stuff you can do to help, but all you really get out of it is reputation with the humans and a loss of reputation with the orcs, if it matters. I don't even know if you can. Deal with the trolls. After speaking with Homer, who tells Lucian of the troll attacks and makes mention of their cave over the other side of the river that runs between the farmlands and Alleroth, head over the bridge and head west. Keeping south of the bridge, eventually Lucian will encounter the cave, enter the cave, and the troll, I do remember the Troll King, will threaten him. The guards on the bridge have taken the troll's bridge, and they can no longer solicit donations. The trolls have no intention of letting their visitor escape, so they must be defeated. Go kill a bunch of trolls, really. Deliver the grain order bill to you. Right, the grain order bill. Crop poisoning. Oh boy, alright, there's crop poisoning. So, upon finding Hugh, he says he can't send grain due to poisoning that ails the crops. After dealing with the crop poisoning situation, Leptine still owes Hugh 2,741 gold. Lucian can either pay the debt, don't pay the debt. I'm pretty sure I paid the debt, because that wasn't a whole lot of money to me at that point. Deliver a letter. Blue Boar Inn, Lucian meets Harriet, who had bad luck with orcs. Orcs pillaged his village. She and her family lived. Do I have, yeah. The family lived in. She's going towards her relatives soon in the farmlands, but wants her uncle Afrasam, innkeeper of Ducal Inn in Britistes, to know about it. Okay. I didn't interpret any of that, but it didn't seem to matter too much. Disappearing gems. Beggar called Malachius told Lucian about a strange gem that disappears when one is about to pick it up. Lucian found that gem and tried to pick it up, and well enough, it does disappear time after time again, eventually leading to an ambush by Boratus and his thugs. Interestingly, he mentions, I've already sold this one's internal organs to Elrath to dissect. Tell me a little bit about Boratus. A lackey of Dr. Elrath. Okay. Good. Got it. Okay. Dr. Elrath exposed. We looked at that. Evil transformation. When traveling to the southern woods of Tenebtiriel, you encounter a talking boar who is a victim of Boratus' experiments on transforming people into animals. The boar also tells that Boratus' house is due southeast, and that a secret entrance to the cellar can be opened by moving a painting. I have a vague memory of this. The journal entry is not mandatory to trigger the actual events in the house, but it does give some extra information. Finding Boratus' house and entering the cellar, you'll encounter a talking snake, a talking cow, who warns him about the snake, and 3 wolves. Upon trying to exit the cellar, Boratus will appear and attack, releasing the wolves, causing them to help in the fight. After defeating Boratus, you can find a book and a locked chest in the cellar, pointing towards the dwarven halls to find holy water. The priest Penthelos has some, but you need a container to hold it, which can be found in the Grail Cave. The Grail is guarded by a powerful mummy called Greyface, however. I remember the Holy Grail and the mummies as well. After returning to the Grail to Penthelos, you get the holy water, which can be used to cure Anthea, the talking cow. Lastly, you will need to find the talking boar again. He roams the same area to cure him. However, he has found a cute female boar, the love of his life, and will decline the offer of becoming human again. Yeah, see, this is what I loved about Divine Divinity. Just, it communicates the really charming kind of not self-serious vibe that they're going for, and I think they stick with that throughout the whole franchise. Like, that's a cornerstone of the IP at this point. Ralph doesn't believe that the Duke died. Yeah, we exposed the Duke's murder. Yeah, I remember this. Clues about the wearers. Find a cure for Simon, or find it. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens between Gomo and I think George. No, it's Gomo and Otho. George isn't involved in that. This is just a way to get extra reputation with one or the other, really. You just have to choose who do you give the cure to between their 2 patients. Find a potion for Cedric, or Tibus, or Sarah. Is this another situation? 3. Right. You just have to make a choice between those 3 patients. There are only two, so you have to choose one to die. That's right. I don't think it has that much consequence, though. But I could be wrong. Yeah, does it? Doesn't matter? Let me double check. All 3 can be cured by either killing or pickpocketing a flask back. Right. So, yeah, clearly that has no implications at all. Find a solution to the plague problem in Rivertown. Upon exiting Alaroth, Lucian is intercepted by Seth, who tells him about the plague in Rivertown. The Alaroth healers are asked to help with the situation. Because of the orc invasion, the healers cannot exit Alaroth, and Lucian is tasked with arranging an escort. Mardania suggests speaking with the army commander at the army barracks. Upon delivering the message from Seth to Alex, she gets irritated by the fact that orcs are threatening the surrounding areas, and that only Seth survived the orc attack. Since the healers are needed in Rivertown, and they are willing to travel there with an escort, she dispatches a group to escort the healers. At this point, she also offers Lucian more work with the ducal army and simple delivery of a package to Mytox. Yes. Elrath is trying to create a cure for the Grey Death. However, a letter of Elrath found in the house of Dr. Elrath indicates Elrath was behind the plague by poisoning the poor area well. Right. Find the necklace. Elianalessa has asked me to bring her the necklace of her grandmother lost during the Age of the Damned. She has given me a scroll with a picture of it, but where do I start the search? If I'm to bring her this gift of love, she will be willing to return my affections. But what of the problem with her father? He abhors the idea of his daughter associating with a human. Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, no. Lucian ends up like falling in love with Ellie and Alessa. Right. Oh, and that's okay. They, this was the early 2000s. Ellie and Alessa's gender depends on yours. Whatever it is, what it is. Um, find the suppliers of Tingolf. After talking with who is Tingolf? That name rings a bell. Right, black marketer. He's in Verdistes, I think. And I think he's kind of bugged. I ended up not being able to finish some interaction with him properly. Right from the start, he gives away that his goods are somewhat illegal. He's not afraid of local law enforcement since he knows they don't have proper evidence to keep him locked up for long. Even the Merchants Guild has eyes on him for selling inferior, possibly stolen goods under the table without a license. Right. After talking with Tingolf, speak to Robin to inform him of Tingolf's activities. Robin is aware of Tingolf, but does not have enough evidence against Tingolf to keep him behind bars long. To continue the quest, speak to Marcus, who needs a new wheel delivering. Head south into the Dwarven forest, and find the cart in flames. Lucian can now return to Marcus, who will ask him what happened to the wares on board, return to the cart, or follow the blood trail from the cart if he did not go back to Marcus first, and locate the cave. Once in the cave, Victorio and Melora will appear and must be defeated. Once defeated, take the... Victorio and Melora. They had some interesting stuff. They're just assassins, huh? Yeah, they're just assassins. I remember them being more interesting than that. Anything of interest on Melora? No, not really. Okay. Once Marcus has seen this note, he will point to Tingolf, whose source of merchandise is a mystery to everyone. Approach Tingolf and ask him about his wares. He will admit that there's a stolen goods cache nearby, but refuses to reveal where, only saying it's close. Go to Rivertown Sewers from Hatch in the middle of Market. If the stash has already been discovered before this point, it is not possible to progress the quest further. Yeah, that was the problem. I already discovered the hatch, so I couldn't finish the quest. That sucked. Head a bit in the sewers east to find Pedro, who is guarding the stolen goods. He refuses to let Lucian escape alive and must be killed. Once killed, he will drop the letter from Victorio to Pedro. At this stage, either return to Lieutenant Robin and inform him, or inform Marcus about the stash in the sewers, resulting in Tingolf's arrest. Right. Find the teleporter activation scrolls. Oh, this is a huge pain in the ass, right? This is just making it easier to get around. But it was a big part of the playthrough. So on meeting Zandelor, he will mention the teleporter around Rivellon have been left inactive to prevent misuse. In order to activate them, Lucian needs to find the remaining 6 teleporter activation scrolls. Zandelor gives Lucian the wizard scroll. But to find another scroll, Zandelor suggests searching the Cursed Abbey nearby for the human scroll, and to ask the Elven Lord Elrador, who can be found around the Archer's Guild, for the Elven scroll. Human scroll can be obtained from either the Cursed Abbey or from Mytox. Head along the path south after crossing the bridge to the farmlands for the Archers Guild to meet Elrador, who hands over the scroll without much discussion after being asked to do so by Zandelor in a dream. Before Gomo is captured by the Black Ring, he denies knowledge of the scroll, even though he holds it. After he has been rescued from the Black Ring, he will hand it over willingly. Gomo ends up being a very important lizard. He's like the only lizard you talk to in the game. I think all of the other ones are hostile to you. I think he's the only one you see that doesn't actively try to kill you. Dwarven Scroll one can be found on the table in Krasnagar's room in the Dwarven Bread Inn. Another is lying on a table in the mayor's house in the Dwarven village, Glenburus. You can also receive one as a reward for completing the quest for the Dwarven King in the Dwarven Halls. Right. Or, yeah, cool, got it. Finding the Holy Weapon. I remember the Holy Weapon. Right, and I ended up choosing the amulet, I think. That one doesn't matter that much, it's just loot. Fireworks? Fireworks is a side quest. For reasons unknown, and wow, a lot of information on this. Anthrobert wants Penzak's cart to be burnt. He suggests to do this task while Penzak is in the bar by destroying the lamp on his cart. Doing this and returning back to Antherbert completes the quest. Depending on how this quest obtained, rewards differ a bit. I have no memory of this. If initially rejecting the offer, it's possible to miss the quest and potentially breaking a bottle of wine quest. After a while, somebody else will have already burnt the cart down. Okay. Free the hostages. Fingers crossed for more lizard action in this one. Yeah, honestly. Free the hostages. Side quest in Divine Divinity. When traveling the woods eastern side of the Archers Guild house, you are stopped by Timmy, who tells that thieves have came into their house and taken his parents hostage. I remember this. Timmy asked for the Archers Guild to help, but there's only Elridor and a couple other elves who are needed guarding the guild house against wildlife and trolls. Elridor suggests analyzing the situation whilst advising that going through the front door may be a bad idea. Timmy says he had escaped the house from the kitchen, which door key he may have dropped somewhere. Sleeping chamber door is also not locked, but trapped too. Both doors can be opened with level 1 lockpick or keys. Now you can safely rescue the hostages. Once rescued, they flee to the Archers Guild house. Talking with Arnie completes the quest, rewarding experience +2 reputation. He also gives permission to take anything from the locked cupboard, but the key is in possession of a raven. Cool. Gareth's feigned death potion. Nearly there. I'm surprised at how much I actually remember of this game. I always worry that my memory's not good enough to, like, leave franchises for extended periods and then come back to follow up, but I continually surprise myself. You just need a little bit of help jogging your memory, I think. I do, anyway. Not everyone. Gareth wishes to desert the army and asks Lucian to look out for a special potion. Yeah, I remember this. There's not much to it. He wants to leave. You can get him a feigned death potion if you want. George murdered. We already went over George's murder. Help a scared knight? Lucian encounters the knight Richard hiding in a barn. He explains that an assassin, Crawler, is after him. Crawler can be found at the nearby grape trees in a patch of land surrounded by a fence to the east. Once the player has his own thoughts about this assassin, once the farmer has his own thoughts about this assassin and informs the player that the assassin overlooked the fact that nobody dresses like him in the farmlands. When the assassin is found, Lucian can either tell him Richard's location or refuse to give up the information. Both options result in the assassin attacking Lucian. Either way, the knight is saved for the time being, and Lucian is rewarded with some experience. However, Richard is sure that Janus will send more assassins after him. Investigate the dark cave. Oh, that's cool that you can do this. How do I not do this, though? I'm not super used to this browser. I don't want this. Can I remove it? Oh, I see. Cool. That's good to know. That's how that works. Upon traveling to Vertistes, Lucian may encounter Sir Markham fighting trolls. After dispatching them, he asks Lucian to investigate a cave nearby, which he believes holds an evil presence. True enough, inside the cave is a vampire who is about to feed on a little boy, Marty. Lucian now has two options. Threaten the vampire, which kills Marty. Offer his own blood, which causes Lucian's stats to decrease. There are also bats very near, which can kill Lucian now easily, but Marty is saved. If Lucian is investigating George's murder, he can ask the vampire about it, but this vampire has never been in Elroth, nor does know any George. This quest also involves the same boy Carolyn is looking for, and so the decision will affect the outcome of both quests. For saving Marty, Carolyn rewards 11,000 XP. She can be found at the south entrance. Yeah. Kill the vampire. And you can go back and kill the vampire. Right. I'm pretty sure I sacrificed some stats for saving the boy. Isolde's love letter. Okay, walk to the Isolde's love letter is a quest. Isolde asks Lucian to deliver the letter to her lover Gareth at the barracks. Yeah, you deliver a love letter. Kidnapped by a zombie. Upon entering Popper's graveyard, Lucian witnesses zombie Jake kidnapping a woman named Elora. While pursuing Jake to underground, many corpses will attack in order to protect Jake. When arriving into underground, saving is disabled up to this point when Jake sees Lucian. Easier route is towards Eastern Party Underground. In addition to walking corpses, there are also zombies, scorpions, steel scorpions, dark corpses along the way. Eventually, Jake is encountered. Killing him completes the quest. Asking Elora for a reward makes her angry. In the end, the quest rewards with experience. I remember Zombie Jake having some fun things to him. Can we? Oh, Zombie Jake comes up again, everyone. Good. Brilliant. Zombie Jake can be defeated up to 3 times. He is difficult to kill early in the game despite being encountered twice in the starting location, so saving the game before battling him is recommended. The first 2 times he's killed rewards 10,000 XP each. The third rewards 17,500 plus a reputation point. 3 Zombie Jake encounters. Yeah, no, he's just a recurring antagonist, and he's in Original Sin as well. This is so fucking, like, of all the characters they could bring back for Original Sin, Zombie Jake. he gets to come back. All right. I'm trying not to spoil things for myself, but it's hard when, you know, we're on the Divinity wiki. We're not on the Divine Divinity or the Beyond Divinity wiki, so stuff's just, it's gonna come up, and it is what it is. There's like hundreds of hours of gameplay between now and when I actually get to these points, so I'm not too worried about it. Lucian gets an offer from Malcolm, who would let him join the guild for a small favor, killing Maria. This is to do with the Assassins Guild, I imagine. Yeah. Kill the vampire. Yeah, we've already read that. Look for the missing boy. We already know about that. Missing delivery. Marcus has been waiting for... Yeah, with the card that needs a wheel. We learned about that as well. Philosophy of life. At the entrance to Naracon's garden, Lucian will encounter 3 followers of Nemris. Tell me about Nemris. Nemris is an ancient author and philosopher who wrote the philosophy treatise The Path of Life and the Philosophy of Death. Nemris, though long dead, is still has dedicated sect of followers in Rivellon. At some point he set up a test in Naracon's garden. Okay, we're about to just read about that then. What do you think will happen to flat earthers when they realize their balls are round? That's a good question. I mean, they'll probably try to, like, shine lights at them or something and prove that they're flat. Something like that. They'll find a way around it. That's their whole deal. They are unable to worship Nemris as the gate to garden is locked, the key being in the possession of the merchant Blake, who won't sell the key to them. Agree to obtain the key and speak to Blake. If one hasn't received an invitation to the castle, Blake will refuse to sell the key, as he will just not sell it to anyone. Once the invitation has been earned, he will sell it for 100 gold. Yeah, you just help them to, yeah, cool. The Path of Life book, maybe that would be, yeah, I'll read the transcript real quick. The lack of knowledge has extreme consequences. That's the reason why experiences are so important in life. There are multiple sides to every situation, just as there are 2 sides and an edge to every coin. If you know only one side of a matter, you almost sure to fail in your judgment. Truth is a verb, not a noun, and to catch it, you must be fleet of mind and willing to see matters from a constantly changing viewpoint. You need to balance all alternatives, good, evil, and neutrality. Your good is another creature's evil, and your evil is another creature's good. Nothing is a monopoly on truth. You have to be tested to earn the great reward. Failure is for the weak and cannot be forgiven. Enter the garden of Naracon, my pupils, and look for the 3 statues of heroes. Neat. We might actually check out some of the books as well, because they're all very short. Won't take long to look through some of them. A lot of them are recipes, and apparently not very good ones. Poison the Orc's water supply, we've already looked into that. Ravage the supply train. Just something to do to the end of helping them with the orcs by the looks of it. Yeah, that's fine. Remove the curse. Finn, an old farmer, tells of an old abbey where he hears and sees strange noises and light. Head north and west along the farmlands until reaching the cursed abbey. In the grounds and building, liches and steel skeletons are waiting. Push through the enemies and head to the kitchen and dining area to find a hatch down. In the cellar is a long hallway that has been trapped. Head south to the door and then go west to find a locked door. There is a key nearby, but it does not fit the lock. Proceed south to find the lever. Return north and through the now open door to find a library and another lich, the engineer, who... Tell me about this engineer. That sounds like a recurring character. Yeah, he comes up again. 1300 AD, I think 1300 AD is like Divinity 2 times. The engineer retaliated their betrayal, cursing all within the abbey to an eternal death. Hang on. What games does he appear in? I don't know what Flames of Vengeance is. Oh, and there's different things. I imagine canon changes a little bit in between games, as it has to. Originally from the Renaissance area, the engineer was a magician for hire. His last job, contracted by the monks of the Cursed Abbey, to lay traps to protect their repositories. The engineer worked for a month laying the traps and defenses, and as the last one was laid and finalized, the monks sealed the engineer in a magical cage that fed upon his life force to ensure that none may discover the secrets to accessing their repositories. The engineer retaliated to their betrayal, cursing all within the abbey to eternal undeath until such a time comes that he receives his payment of 1,000 gold. Not much. In 1218 AD is found by Lucian, and with his soul burning for desire for revenge, is finally freed with the payment made from the Divine One's own pocket. Interesting. And then 1300, we'll learn about that in this playthrough that's coming up. We're probably going to separate the VODs once I'm done going through all of this, so there'll be like episode 0, basically, which is just me remembering what the hell happened in the prior 2 games. After telling his story, you'll have the option to either pay 1,000 gold that he was due, or fight him, which results in liches and steel skeletons appearing. I don't know if I paid him off or fought him. I think at the point in the game when I would have done this, I was not worried about saving money. Restore Maria's reputation. Maria is looking for revenge. She was before wealthy, but Malcolm, secretary of the Merchants Guild, ruined her and her family's life. She has a plan of showing proof that of Malcolm's treachery to Trevor. After talking with Maria, head to Malcolm's house and find Merchant Guild's finance records on top of the closet in the back room. Show this book to Trevor, who will kick Malcolm out of the guild. You can also show it to Malcolm, but does not affect the outcome. I remember Malcolm. Retrieve Balin's necklace? Or Balin? Street thug called Balin asked Lucian to retrieve stolen necklace back from Jonas. Finding necklace was easy. It was on top of the shelf in Jonas's house. Jonas admitted that he stole the necklace since he needs it more than Balin. Killing Balin after agreeing to retrieve necklace fails both quests at this point. There's also no possibility to tell Jonas about Balin's death. Or is it Balin? I know there's some contention on how like Tolkien actually preferred that Balin be pronounced. But I don't remember how. And I might not even be Balin. It might be one of Balin's relatives that I'm thinking of. Lucian can now give the necklace to Balin, losing 1 reputation, giving some experience and 100 gold, telling Jonas to agree, killing Balin to rid poor area of his influence. Yeah, it doesn't. This is inconsequential as fuck. Retrieve the magic axe called Slasher. We already went over this for the orcs. I think I ended up allying with those specific orcs, but none of the other ones by doing this. After speaking to Smiruk on the first floor of the catacombs in the southwest, who asks Lucian to retrieve Slasher for him, continue through the catacombs to the second floor. Once here, head out the north or western door and enter a small room. Upon reaching this level, there will be a fight with several skeleton warriors. On a pedestal to the south of the floor, there is an axe, which is Slasher. Take the axe and return to the first floor and give it to Smiruk, who will test it out on Vradnir. If the axe is what player gives is not Slasher, Smiruk is less than pleased. After this, Smiruk will advise Lucian not to follow and depart with the rest of his clan via the ladder. Right. Rescue Lanalor, the elf, from his icy prison. Teach Balin a lesson. Because it's... Oh, no, I'm thinking of Gloin. Yeah, not Balin. I think that's pretty consistently pronounced well, but I think Tolkien specifically would have pronounced it Glowin, not Gloin, which makes it so that Glowin's father is Groin, not Groin. But I don't know. Maybe that was sort of decided after the fact, just to make it so that one of the major ancestral dwarfs was not called Groin. But hey, who knows? Let's see. Solve the problem between the elves and the dwarves. Yeah, that's concerning. Desecrating their grounds. We already looked at that. The bar fight is something I didn't engage with, and it clearly doesn't matter that much because it's about the Warriors Guild and all that. The church. Oh, and then the sword and the stone is literally just a strength check, if I recall correctly, and it's not that great of a sword. Upon entering the church, Lucian saw ghosts attacking a priest and a monk. The priest manages to escape into confession chair, while the monk perishes to the attacking ghosts. Further investigating the situation, Lucian finds Father Theophilus hiding in a secret library of the church. When asked about the current events in the church, Theophilus explains that all happened a few days ago. Howling and ghostly appearances, and now Father Danus was killed. Theophilus describes the howling like someone screaming in pain. Ghosts are appearing out of nowhere as well. Father Theophilus describes Father Danus as a good worker, always doing his tasks on time, unlike Vinny, who they took. I love the like mixture of names that you get, because I don't know if this is something you see in original sin and stuff. It seems like it's the devs kind of trying to communicate a relative modernity to the setting 1200 years on, that you start seeing these kind of modern names like Vinny. And you see that right next to Father Theophilus and Danus and Marcus and all that. Who they took within the church was wandering in Rivertown. Theophilus was wandering in Rivertown. Theophilus suspects desecration being the cause of the events in the church, but cannot pinpoint how this desecration was done. Upon exiting the confession chair, Lucian sees a boy urinating into the wine chest. Suspecting this to be the desecration act, Lucian informs Father Theophilus, who is sure this was the act of desecration that angered the spirits of the church. After this, Theophilus rewards Lucian with golden experience. Right. Sword in the Stone, the tree. I remember there's like a talking tree. It's a shame this doesn't have a wiki page because it was a fun quest. There's like a talking tree that's mad about stuff that's going on. You don't want to have an axe out when you're approaching it. It's really cool. It's a shame. Thieves Guild entry quests. Wishing Well. I remember the Wishing Well. I don't remember anything else about it though. When you arrive to Wishing Well, it tells you that it grants one wish. Rewards depend on amount of gold thrown. Oh, that's right. I discovered this early, and I came back way later to do something more interesting. I probably got this, honestly. Plus 10 strength, plus 10 agility, or plus 10 intelligence. Neat. Oh, the book about which the Wishing Well hints can be found in the Cursed Abbey, even. Yeah, cool. Well's name is Darsk Sjurg. They prefer the title Miraculous Water Dispenser rather than Wishing Well. Who was responsible for the harvest disaster? Wow, there's a lot to this one. Upon speaking to Hugh, he'll explain that crops in the farmlands have been suffering from a mysterious blight. Yeah, but we already... Oh, no, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if it's the same guy who was responsible for the plague. Travel to the Blue Boar Inn, head due west. In the grass to the north of the road, a cave can be found. Within the cave are some poison barrels and the orc Tipsix, who has been poisoning the harvest under the instruction of another. Kill Tipsix and take his key. Either return to Hugh at the stage for a reputation boost with him and some experience, or continue to the Blue Boar Inn. Upon entering the inn, head into the bar in the southwest corner, then through the archway on the northern wall. In the room to the right is the hatch to the cellar. Proceed down and try the door to the room in the southeast corner. The key will unlock the door, and within the room are more poison barrels. Return to the bar and speak to Splinter, owner of the bar. He will say the room is rented out to Elrath. He will also say, Elrath was responsible for the plague and this pestilence. House is located in Rivertown Market. famine. Not pestilence. Head north and east to the Rivertown Market District. Elrath's house is located in the southeast of the district. The door is locked, but the key can be found under a rock on the south side of the house. Upon entering the in the southeastern house, the entrance to the letter to Elrath. Yeah, that's all you really need to know. Elrath did it. Cool. That's all the side quests. I think I have a pretty good recollection, right? You're one of the divine ones, and the divine ones are the only ones who can stand in the way of this chaos demon who has taken over the Lord of Farol. Farol being the broader world, at least the country that this exists in. Divine ones are prophesied to do something about that, so they, this black ring cult who supports this chaos demon are going around trying to kill them. And so, but you are saved by Arhu and Zandalor, who take you into the healing community, and then you help the healing community with Mardanius and all that. Then you are instructed to go meet with Zandalor. You find Zandalor eventually. After going through Stormfist Castle and freeing him from there and all that. You work briefly for the ruler of Farol, Janus. I missed a chat earlier as well, didn't I? I think it's a little too far gone to go back now. Someone said something about Janus. Retrieve the teleporter stones, escape Stormfist Castle, find Zandalor's Sword of Lies, which is how Janus got initially infected, or, lost his soul, essentially. Try to help the Marked Ones where you can, but I'm pretty sure you're the only one who lives, and then you gather the Council of Seven to become the Divine Divinity, and with that power, you can go and stop the summoning ritual, kill the demon alive, bada bing, bada boom, there you go, that's Divine Divinity. Hey, Kurt, welcome in, buddy. We just refreshed our memory on what the hell happened in Divine Divinity. We're gonna look up real quick what the hell happened in Beyond Divinity. But I'm not going to go so in-depth on that, because I didn't... Oh, real quick, though. Divine Divinity books and notes. Hell yeah. Welcome in, Kurt. How you doing, buddy? Here, if I just look up Divine Divinity books, perhaps? Divine Divinity books and notes. Ah. Well, there's a lot of cool artwork. Right, first and foremost. Look at that, look at that. Look at it all. Very cool. Very cool. These are all over the place too. Just everywhere there's notes to pick up. This is usually what happens when you look at them. You see some of these. Nice. Okay. Now. Do I want to go to all this trouble? I mean, most of these are quite short, to be fair. Oh. Maybe they weren't. I'm pretty sure I read all of the books. I certainly collected them. I'd have to drag the old PC in here to actually get access to that, but I put them in a room. I'm pretty sure I collected all of them. I won't look at the cooking recipes, of course. It's a lot. Let's see. Good, thanks, Kurt. Hope you're doing well. I also hope Kurt's doing well. Hilmar Haurdroff, a granite dwarf and lawmaster of high regard among his people, was interviewed by myself at the Dwarven Bread Inn during his recent trading mission to the Duchy. I do not wish to question the veracity of this honorable dwarf's answers to my questions, but I estimate Hilmar contained nearly as much ale as the half-full barrel he was leaning on at the time. PTR being Pecorino, the researcher. What is the reason for the relatively small stature of dwarven people? It's an economy measure. If we were any taller, we'd have to dig larger tunnels to get about. How tall can dwarves grow? There was once a dwarf who never drank mead or ale. Poor bugger grew to the height of 4 dwarves on top of each other. That's why we dwarves drink alcohol from birth, to stunt our growth to a decent size. Who was the shortest dwarf you ever heard of? Oh, there's this clan of dwarves I once heard tell of. Not one of them was more than 3 handbreadths high, so they say. Some bloody humans enslaved them and forced them to work in their gardens, digging, pushing little wheelbarrows, and having to fish in ornamental ponds for their food. Shameful, shameful. Do gnomes canonically exist in Divine Divinity? Why do dwarves never shave their beards? What? End up looking as ugly as a human or an elf? Never. The animosity between the elves and the dwarves is ancient, but we humans do not know why you dislike each other so much. What is the reason? There is nothing wrong with an elf that you can't fix with a good stout axe. That's an old dwarf saying, you know. The truth is that elves are folk of the forests and outdoors, while dwarves are folk who love rock and tunneling. It's hard to like someone when you've got nothing in common with him or her. Still, I've known some good elves in my time, even if they can't hold their ale. How much ale can a lone dwarf drink in one sitting? I don't know. How much ale is there in the world? What is the maximum lifespan of a dwarf? Very old by your standards, human. Your race, the imps and the orcs, all died tragically young by our standards. Ha! You'd think yourself ancient if you topped 100. For a dwarf, that's a deal short of middle age. Only elves live longer than we do. Why do dwarves restrict the supply of gold so carefully? If you traded all you hoarded away, then everybody would be rich. No, they wouldn't. Everybody would still be poor, but gold would be next to worthless. You other races simply don't understand the concept of monetary inflation. Why do dwarves never wash themselves? We do, human. We just don't wash in disgusting water the way other folk do. Every morning I give myself a refreshing grit rub down, then I splash myself with a little soured mead. It makes my armpits nice and sticky, and the aroma is irresistible to the lady dwarves. It is said that you dwarves have thousands of words for stone in your language. Why so many? How many words do you have to describe the weather, human? Stone is our natural medium. Strata of stone are the same to us as the sun, clouds, and wind are to you. Now bugger off. That sweet little dwarfette with the big biceps is giving me the eye. I tell you, soured mead catches their fancy every time. For Lanelore, best wishes to your Madrasan. Signed, Otho. Neat. Oh, thank you. Reference to the pipes, right? I thought my mic was fucked up. Let's see, doing good. Just got done with work and got out of the heat, so I'm feeling better, I imagine. Yeah. Get a beer and put your feet up. You deserve it, fella. Exactly. Take it easy, Kurt. Bedtime stories. Falling asleep can be so easy, and yet at times so hard. This book contains 101 amusing yet soporific bedtime stories, which will help you to overcome even severe insomnia. Every single story in this book is carefully word-crafted so that the reader will fall asleep after he has read just a few lines. So let us start with story number 1. Darius was a fine merchant. He was son of Brandius, who was son of Morak, who was son of Graesus, who was son of Quinn, who was the son of Can we trust the clerics? Can We Trust the Clerics? Corruption in the Name of the Gods by Cecil Winbarn, an openly blasphemous book accusing the Church of the Seven Gods of hypocrisy and political corruption. The writer ends with a call for a religious reformation. We're skipping the cooking recipes. Draconic, the language of the dragons. This author studied the complex language of the dragons. Unfortunately, human tongues are physically unable to pronounce a single word of Draconic. Wonderful. Gregor Brock's diary is old and badly damaged. Some of their entries speak of a woman called Sylvena and how his lack of courage failed him when the bandits on the road to Verdistis attacked them and he fled. Sylvena lies mortally wounded because of my cowardice. The bandits took her money and just ran her through with a sword and left her to die. I returned to her seemingly lifeless body. She still clung to life, but only by a mere thread. She sensed my approach and held her hand out to me. I rushed forward in an attempt to comfort her, but as I came close, she grabbed me by the hair with her last strength and uttered that terrible curse. You left me at the mercy of those thieves, Gregor. You failed in your duty to protect me. For that I curse you. I bind you with my dying breath to my statue. You shall stand vigilant over it even after your death. Your only release shall come when you find another to protect and show them the courage and sacrifice that failed you this day. The rest of the book is damaged, but there is one last legible entry. Since her death, I have been drawn to her statue every day. Now my life draws to a close, and I write this knowing it will be my last entry. I fear that even death will not release me from my obligation. I pray that another arrives so that I may redeem myself and embrace peace in oblivion. Forgive me, Sylvena. Beer tastes nasty. What's fair? Root beer or a water-flavored beer? Water-flavored beer. Is that a UK thing? Beer water. Quench your sober. Herbal medicine refers to the use of any plant's seeds, berries, roots, leaves, bark, or flower. I do know about herbal medicine, thank you. Holy book. Okay, Toldane is another word for it. The lizard scholar and seer Toldane was the first chronicler to divine the recent history of Rivellon in 4 separate ages of between 400 and 600 years each. Those ages are the Age of Deception, the Age of the Damned, the Renaissance, and the Age of Chaos. Toldane also predicted that after the Age of Chaos, our present time period, a time of great troubles would befall the 7 races. He calls this 5th time period the Age of Lies. Interesting. So I think the Age of Deception is referring to the original sin. The Age of the Damned is referring to the consequences of the original sin. The Renaissance, I'm pretty sure, is Dragon Commander. Like, that's when that all takes place. And then the Age of Chaos, of course, is the fall from the Renaissance into some sort of conflict-ridden Dark Ages. And then the Age of Lies seems to be further making that worse. Interesting. How to make the most of honey. This is probably about mead. Part 1, Chapter 1, The Sweat of the Gods. I think it was Xerxa, the imp, who once described honey as the sweat of the gods, and she was absolutely right, because the golden-colored honey is not only very tasty, it has other effects granted by the divine powers themselves, which increase a person's natural abilities. It is common knowledge that honey is made by the bees, so the first thing you will need for producing your very own honey is beehives. This much is plain, but as we continue to explore the fascinating world of honey production, we will come across many strange and wonderful facts. For example, did you know that the flavor of your honey, as well as its quality, will vary from season to season, depending on the variety of flowers that are in bloom? Planting suitable flowers near your hives will... ... Magical Tragedies, Part 1 through 9. No, I'm just saying water in a fancy way. Root beer is gas, exactly. Love a bit of root beer. What beverage do you like? Well, I think Kurt likes root beer. Magical Tragedies, Part 1. Involuntary Hours in Limbo. Why experienced mages all carry a pack of solitaire cards. Part 2. Fireballs. The trainee magician's quickest route to the grave via a dustpan and brush. This is just a bunch of one-line jokes about magic, I guess. Part 3. Obstinate demons. Are there any other kind? Part 4. Healing potions. The risk of addiction. Part 5. Spell duration. The strategic art of battle magic. Part 6. Slurred pronunciation and bad memory. What kills most aged mages? Part 7. Spells you should never cast on yourself. The case for animal testing. Part 8. The side effects of animated artifacts. Never have a magic broom fill your bath for you. Part 9. Dimensional doors and teleportation. Never cross a magical boundary without a weapon to hand. Very good. Merchants, guilds, financial. That's just records of corruption, really. Naratul, the druid. In an age known as the Renaissance, there once was a druid who lived in Tenebtiriel, the Dark Forest. The druid went by many names, but the most common was Naratul, an ancient word meaning spell weaver. Despite his many services given to the forest and its inhabitants, Naratul was greatly disliked by the elves. To them, Naratul was still a human and, the elves whispered, a black wizard in league with the damned. One day, an ignorant elf challenged Naratul to a contest of wills. Naratul, having grown impatient with the arrogant manner of the elves, bewitched the troublesome elf, transforming him into a stately elm tree that served to provide a place of cool shade during the hot summers as Naratul studied outside his hut. Mr. Pibb, root beer, milkshakes, cocktails Jack makes. Thank you, Kurt. Very kind of you. Dr. Pepper, cream soda. Have you tried the strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper, Kurt? It's very good. And I don't know if they still have it, but they made a milkshake out of it in Jack in the Box, and it's so tasty. You like root beer. I thought when you called it gas, you meant ass. No. Gas is quickly developing American slang. Originally used as a weed term, referring to good weed. But now people just say it in reference to everything, really. Well, young people do. Note from Mardanius. What's this note from under Mardanius? The ancient catacombs were abandoned long ago, and even I, Mardanius, don't dare enter them any longer. We're aware of this. We've gone over that. On Magic Obscura by Mardanius the Healer. Unfortunately, most pages of this book have been torn out. Maybe Mardanius did this by himself in his madness, so the evil forces shouldn't profit from his great knowledge of magic and magical artifacts. Only one section is complete and makes sense to you. Magic mirrors are far more common than any other object made by magicians. The making of magic mirrors was once part of the earliest education for young wizards on their entrance to a magic school or circle. You can use magic mirrors to duplicate certain magical gems. Unfortunately, the magic mirror must be destroyed during this ritual, so you will only get one chance at successfully completing the spell. So how do you use a magic mirror? It's very simple indeed, my faithful pupil. First, you have to find a small natural pool deep enough to submerge the magic mirror completely. On being covered by water, the magic mirror will vanish completely. Do not be alarmed, this is part of the magic. When the mirror vanishes, simply drop the magic gem you wish to duplicate into the same pool, and the magic will do its work instantly. The copy will be perfect in every way. Use your magic mirror wisely. But one word of warning, there are far more false magic mirrors in the world than real ones these days. I think I've tasted all Dr. Pepper flavors. So far, the one I hate the most is coconut cream, but it's because I don't like coconut. I don't imagine that tastes very good either. I like coconut in some things, but artificial coconut flavoring is just bad. It's just not good. I don't know why they put it in stuff. I guess some people like it, but to me it just tastes like suntan oil. The absence of the seven gods. Nobody knows for certain why the gods left Rivellon. We cannot say for sure when they left, but it is thought to have happened over 3,000 years ago. Wise people from all over the country have studied this exodus of the gods, while the priests believe that the gods are still among us and watch us in unseen so that they can judge us by our deeds. Some scholars set themselves to the theory that the gods never existed and are nothing more than phantoms. The Adventure of the Dreaming Gem, Part the First. This book claims to be by the famous orc freebooter, Quorum Blood Club. Some say Quorum died over 10 years ago. Some say he might still be alive. This book looks old enough, and Blood Club, despite his name, was renowned as an orc of education and sophistication. Perhaps this tome is indeed from Blood Club's very own pen. It would be nice to find the other sections of the story. The Adventure of the Dreaming Gem, reminisced by Quorum Blood Club, orc adventurer and jewel thief. Part the First, meeting. Dwarf's reputation as a treasure thief was second to none. That's why I traveled all across Rivellon to meet her. Her professional name was Shadow, and it is the only name of hers that I ever discovered. We met in the Dwarven Bread Inn on the winter solstice of my 21st year. She was very comely for a dwarf, with a charming greenish tone to her skin and teeth filed to points. I have always had a weakness for the women of other races, which is partly why I have been a wanderer all my life, always looking for a new exotic love and always hurrying away from the enraged husbands of my previous exotic loves. We ate and drank together, and throughout the meal Shadow belched and farted like a well-bred orc maiden. However, though I was yet young and callow, I guessed her charming table manners were solely aimed at softening me up before we got down to business, so I bridled my rising passions. After eating and some casual chat about the recent fad of elfish-style clothing in Rivertown, we took a private room upstairs and settled to discuss the deal I had traveled so far to offer her. "Have you heard of the Dreaming Gem of Hastur the Vain?" I asked her. "Aye, what jewel thief hasn't? It is said to be a unique stone, and dwarves who have seen it claim it to be worth at least 1,000,000 gold pieces, but it's kept in Hastur's tower. The place is impregnable. Trust me, I've studied the layout with a professional eye. Nobody can get through the gardens. They're guarded by a demon, and even if you did, the magic traps inside the tower would do for you." "So why did you mention it?" "Oh," I replied casually as I could, "I think I have a way to get you past the demon in the garden. If, in turn, you can get me past the magic traps inside, I think we'll have a good chance to swipe the fabled gem and escape." To be continued. And yes, I've tried the strawberry cream. It's not bad. I prefer cherry and Dr. Pepper cream soda. Zero sugar on all of them. Zero sugar is just the best. I see. Interesting. I'm not big on zero sugar anything, to be honest, but I don't have much experience with it. Usually if I'm going for a soda, it's like I don't drink soda often enough to bother with zero sugar. It's like an occasional treat. I treat it like a dessert most of the time. But I can definitely understand going for that if you drink a lot of soda. Shut that company down. UK is saving you, Furious. Thank God. Also, if I was under 16, I couldn't watch you guys stream anymore. Yeah, right, I heard. Absolutely I'm sure there's a way around all of those things that the UK is trying to do. Like, I'm sure they have not, unless you have an iPhone. If you have an Apple device, then yeah, you're kind of fucked, but you knew you were fucked when you bought an Apple device, or you should have. But I guarantee, like, you could probably just use a VPN, to be honest, Furious. Place yourself anywhere else in the world, and you won't have to worry about age verification. I think at this point, everyone in the UK should get a VPN, because fuck the UK government. We need to show them that that is not the way forward. The Adventure of the Dreaming Gem, Part the Second. This book claims to be, yeah, that goes on. Okay, cool. So we don't have to read that paragraph every time. Reminisced by Coram Blood Club, Orc Adventurer and Jewel Thief, Part the Second, Dealing. I and Shadow discussed our plans to thieve the fabled Dreaming Gem for several hours, and finally settled that, come what may, I would pay her 1,000 gold pieces to join my scheme. Proceeds that came from the sale of the gem we would also split 50-50. Some might say I came off much worse from the deal, but what's 1,000 gold pieces here or there when one expects to make 1 million on the success of a plan that expects sure death if it fails? I handed the money over then and there. The hour being near dawn when we had finished, I suggested that we forget sleeping that night and settle the deal with a romp on the bed. With a demure flick of her wrist, Shadow broke my nose, and her booted foot knocked me through the door of our rented chamber. Gods! For a dwarf, that woman knew how to tickle the fancy of an orc warrior. I've known orc chieftains' daughters who had less skill at the courtly art of love play. I was still holding a rag to my streaming nose, which Shadow had reset skillfully, but with sexy brutality. When we set off together the following noontime, she traveled light as a professional thief must, but I was a warrior, so I had to carry my spare weapons and certain leather-bound packages on my back. I have engaged in many such adventures in my long life, but never one that has stuck in my memory with such clarity, despite the passing of over 60 years. Of course, all the scar tissue helps remind me as well. To be continued. Part 3. Soda is my main drink, which is bad, but I don't smoke or drugs, so I can have a vice. Sure, yeah, soda can be your vice, I guess. Yeah, no, hey, no, good for you. That's great. Part the 3rd, Journeying. The journey to the Tower of Hastur the Vain was a long one. As befitting a sorcerer who kept a demon in his garden, Hastur chose to live in isolation as well as in splendid luxury. I knew little of the man, except he was said to be a descendant of a survivor of the army of the damned, and thus had demon blood in his veins. This, however, did not over-trouble me. I'd yet to meet or hear of a magician, half-demon or not, who could survive a foot of cold iron shoved through his guts. Of course, fighting was my specialty. Thieving was the skill of my charming dwarven companion, who called herself Shadow, yet she proved no slouch at combat either. When 7 foolish human bandits waylaid us on the road, I took down 5 of them with my faithful old double-handed sword, but it was Shadow who killed 2 of the others with her short bow and put an arrow into the rump of the 7th as he fled. Naturally, I tried to congratulate Shadow with a comradely hug and kiss, on which she sunk her sharpened teeth into my chin. I still carry the scars of her dainty fangs to this day. I tell my grandkids that it's where a venomous halfling once bit me, for I keep the true memory deep in my heart, along with the pleasant memory of giving her firm little bottom a squeeze as she let go of me. Ooh. Not a great guy, this orc fella. What's his name? Coram Blood Club, Part the 4th, Entry. I and my companion, this shapely dwarven thief who called herself Shadow, arrived at the Tower of Hastur of the Vain on a chilly evening, with the snow falling lightly through the trees around us. Shadow appraised the walls grimly. It's as I remember from a previous scouting trip, she muttered in a morose tone. The outer wall encircling the garden is as smooth as crystal, and the top is grapnel-proof. How do we get over it, Orc? Fly? We don't have to go that far just yet, my sweet little bruiser, I replied as lightly as I could. Let's get a few hours' sleep, and at moonrise I'll show you something that might surprise you. However, it was Shadow who surprised me, slipping under my sleeping blanket 5 minutes after we had said goodnight. After as fine a tumble as I ever remember having, she grinned at me with those charming filed teeth of hers and said, "Well, it's the best way to keep warm when you don't dare light a campfire. Besides, you may be dead before we get another chance." At moonrise, and almost full moon, luckily, we arose, equipped ourselves, and set out towards the wall surrounding Haster's tower. On arriving at the wall without incident, I slung my sword and my 2 leather-bound bundles on my back. Then I fitted 2 iron spikes to the toes of my boots and slipped a pair of knuckle dusters with similar spikes over my fists. "You dwarves may know everything about tunneling under mountains," I said to Shadow as she piggybacked onto me between my 2 bundles, "but give it to us orcs. We know how to climb over them." With that, I started to drive the spikes into the soft stone of the wall, clambering up the sheer face like a wasp. Our assault on the tower and attempted theft of the dreaming gem of Hastur, the vein, had begun. To be continued. Something else a roost. I do all 3 and I'm fine. There you go. Look at Furious. Part the 5th. Light. I'm a mountain-bred orc, so it didn't take over long for me to spike climb a wall only 20 orcs in height. The top of the wall was rounded to prevent thieves climbing up with grapnel lines, but that also meant there was little snow up there when I straddled it, which was a minor relief. Shadow, my dwarven thief companion, let herself down from my back and helped me unpack the hide-bound bundles I'd brought with me all this way. "These bloody elven inventions better work," she whispered as she unwrapped and started fitting the components together. "Well, if they don't, you'll have only a short fall in which to curse me, so I suggest you call me some names now, just in case." Shadow complied, using some of the fruitiest language I've heard outside of a human brothel. The packages contained woodland wings, an elf invention that allowed short flights of about 40 orc lengths or so, made of elf silk stretched over a frame of very light but very strong wolf tree wood. The wings were triangular in shape and hooked to the shoulders. A basic lifting spell gave them a little boost on takeoff. In fact, the woodland wings worked perfectly. I had feared that they might not fly well at night with no thermals to ride. The tower in the center of the snowbound garden was a good 2 orcs shorter than the surrounding wall, and the wings carried us down to it swiftly but safely. As I looked down during the flight, however, I saw the demon Hastur had set to guard his garden, standing black and huge in the moonlight, staring up at us with fiery eyes. The instant I hit the flat roof of the tower, I removed the wings and drew my sword, expecting the demon to come bounding up the wall after us, but all was quiet. I cautiously looked over the parapet, but the demon was gone, vanished, without leaving so much as a footprint in the snow. Shadow at my side grunted, but without surprise. "As I'd hoped," she whispered, "the demon is an illusion, a kind of scarecrow only visible to those outside the tower. Hastur is an illusionist, not a summoner." It was then my turn to call her some pungent names for keeping me in the dark. Oh, hang on a sec. Okay. 1 second. Just got reminded of an appointment that I have on Thursday, which is not something that I knew about, but that's fine. Just gonna put that down. There you go. Oh, is that another hour? God damn, this is taking longer than I thought. Oh, shit, Jack is gone. Quick, let's check the stream. No, I was back too quick. Alright, part the 6th. Having done my part in getting myself in shadow, my dwarven thief companion, past the great garden wall and onto the roof of the Tower of Hastur the Vain, I felt entitled to take a back seat in the proceedings. I'm a warrior, not a locksmith. But the several trapdoors around the edge of the tower's flat roof had booby trap written all over them to my eyes. That was my charming lady companion's area of expertise. Shadow knelt by a trapdoor and sprinkled a fine white powder around its edges. The trapdoor flared blue for a second, but that was all. Grinning, Shadow muttered a short diffusing spell and opened the trapdoor. After only a second's pause, she dropped through soundlessly. I followed more cautiously and found myself in a dusty room with sheets over the furniture. "We're in luck," Shadow whispered. "This is evidently a spare sleeping chamber. No traps." "How do you know?" I asked, trying not to move or breathe too heavily. "Nobody puts traps in the guest bedrooms," she replied, moving to the door. "If you forget to turn them all off, it can lead to embarrassing scenes the next morning. My contacts told me that the dreaming gem is kept in a chamber in the center of the tower, about halfway down," Shadow continued as we crept onto a somberly lit, enclosed spiral staircase outside the bedroom door. She scattered more of her dust, but this time over the stairs leading downward. Several of the first half dozen glowed blue for a second, as did the handrail over the stairs that did not glow. "Ha!" grunted Shadow. Don't step on the stairs I step over, and avoid touching the rail at all. I don't like this. It's too easy. This has to be a trap." With those comforting words, Shadow moved off down the stairs, scattering her magic dust ahead of her as she went. Part the 7th. There are 10 parts. It's not easy to tiptoe down a booby-trapped spiral staircase. Avoid triggering stairs and trying not to touch the walls when you're a fairly hefty orc warrior with a double-handled broadsword clutched before you. On top of that, my companion, the slinky dwarf thief who called herself Shadow, was in no hurry as she moved ahead of me. Checking for further traps, after 20 minutes and very small progress, I was getting cramped and not a little bored. "Are we nearly there yet?" I asked, for the 4th time as many minutes. "How should I know?" Shadow snapped back, but in a whisper. "I'm going on second-hand reports that the gem we seek is in a chamber about halfway down the tower. We're not halfway down yet." "But maybe it's through one of these doors we keep passing," I suggested. "Shouldn't we take just a peek in each?" With that, I pushed open the door next to me I hadn't noticed was slightly ajar. Yes, I know, but I was young and foolish in those days. Besides, Shadow's trap-finding power hadn't made the door flash blue, so I guessed that I was on safe ground. Shadow's squeak of alarm and annoyance was drowned out by the angry hiss of the giant snake that had been snoozing in the chamber. It was at least 10 orcs in length and seemed almost too big for the chamber. Fortunately, I had fought big snakes the previous summer in the dark forest. The serpents there, although not as big as this fellow, had always reared up before striking, giving me time to decapitate them. This snake, unfortunately, was not of an orthodox nature. It shot straight at me like a battering ram, its jaws gaping and its great fangs flashing in the lamplight. Part the 8th. I can't remember how many times I've faced apparently certain death in my life. After a while, they all seem to mass into one long, buttock-clenching memory. But every time I have fallen over some great precipice, had a wolf leap at my unprotected throat, or seen an enraged husband swinging a weapon at my ducking head, I get the most incongruous thoughts running through my mind. As the giant snake in the Tower of Hastur the Vain leapt to devour me in a single bite, I remember thinking, "Drat, I'm going to die and I've yet to sleep with a lizard woman." It was a bet I'd made with a friend of mine, you see, that I'd bet a member of each of the 6 races before the year was out. 6 other races, I imagine, is what he means by that. Fortunately, maybe he's not counting wizards. Fortunately, Shadow, the very female dwarven thief, who had only that night enabled me to get a step closer to winning the bet, was in a less contemplative frame of mind. As I raised my sword to at least skewer the snake as it bit down on me, I felt a sharp pain in my thigh. The snake had struck me, went clean through my body, and then the whole animal vanished. I looked down to see Shadow cleaning a stiletto she had just pulled out of my leg. "Another illusion," she whispered shortly. "If I hadn't caught your attention, you would have died of expecting to be dead. That's how most combat illusions work, by convincing the enemy to die simply through expectation and instinct. Now bandage that leg and do only what I tell you from now on. Understood, you great green lummox?" We continued down to the tower, with me trying not to limp, until we reached a door that, to me, looked like all the others we had passed so far. "We're here," Shadow said with certitude. "How do you know?" I asked in a whisper. This door has mechanical traps, not magical ones. Aster paid good money to keep people out of this chamber. I'd bet my breeches that the dreaming gem is just through this doorway. Part the 9th. Most of the way through these books now, and then we'll move on to Beyond Divinity overview. It looks like this might shape up to be, well, we'll see. Shadow, my dwarven master thief companion, took her time dismantling the traps on the door to the chamber and the dreaming gem. Magical traps are one thing, easily avoided if you know how, and rarely powerful enough to be fatal. But mechanical traps are usually much more dangerous. One might deflect a fireball spell, but it's harder to deflect a lethally poisonous hidden needle or a block of falling masonry. After half an hour of careful fiddling, the door suddenly swung open under Shadow's hand. Beyond it was a chamber that was too big for the tower. Indeed, it looked bigger than the audience chamber of Stormfist Castle, the largest room I had yet seen in my life. And floating in the air in the center of the room was the fabled dreaming gem of Haster the Vain, as big as a fist and shining with all the colors of a mountain rainbow. Beautiful as it was, however, the gem's fascination could not conceal the fact that standing next to it was its owner, the human sorcerer, Haster the Vain. Suddenly, Shadow lost all her thiefly caution and strode into the chamber. "Haster!" she bellowed. "Save your spells, trickster. I have been trained, the great Magus Zandalor himself. Throw your illusions. They will mean nothing to me." Haster smiled coldly and replied in a voice as soft as chilled silk, but that seemed to echo in the vast chamber. "Shadow the jewel thief, I presume. And trained by that old fart Zandalor, you say? Very well. Let's test the metal of your mind." With that, Haster raised a hand with a blue fireball blazing around it. Shadow laughed and stood her ground, and I, ever a practical orc in such matters, hurled my sword over Shadow's head and skewered Haster through the chest. Needless to say, Shadow was furious with me. "How dare you interfere?" she shrieked. "I've been looking forward to dueling that mage for years." "You wouldn't have lasted long," I said as I strolled over to the body of Haster. He was writhing in inhuman death throes, confirming, I suppose, that he was indeed part demon. In the hand that had lifted the illusory fireball, he still clenched the throwing dagger he had sought to hide. "I saw the tip of the dagger sticking out of the illusion," I explained. "Haster the Vain believed in working on the physical as well as the illusory plane." With that, I turned and took up the dreaming gem, a treasure estimated to be worth over 1,000,000 gold pieces. If only my old dad could have seen me then. And part the last. The dreaming gem, fabled as the most valuable jewel in Rivellon, was in my grasp at last. As Shadow, my dwarven thief companion, stood raging over the fact I'd saved her life. There's no pleasing some women. I stooped over the wizard, Haster the Vain, to withdraw my sword from his chest. It was thus that I heard his final words: "Damn you." I've heard worse, and it undoubtedly summed up his feelings at the time. As I wiped my sword, the tower trembled. I turned to ask Shadow what it meant, but she was already on the stairs and clattering downward. Mother Blood Club didn't raise any stupid kids. I was off after Shadow before the tower trembled a second time. Fortunately, all the traps on the stairs were based on illusion magic, and we were traveling too fast for illusory perils to register on our panicky brains. As we finally burst through the lower door into the snowy garden outside, the tower gave a last great shudder and was fine. No collapse, nothing. I'm sorry if that's anticlimactic, but that's what happened. After I got over the surprise of not being covered with falling masonry dust, I noticed Shadow was casually walking away. "Where are you going?" I called after her. "Don't you want to gloat over the dreaming gem? I thought that's the sort of thing you dwarves live for." She turned and smiled at me. "What's the point?" she called. "It's only a rock." For a terrible moment, I feared that our recent adventures had turned her into a philosopher, but as I looked at the stone in my hand, I saw it was indeed just a lump of granite. "Haster the Vain was an illusionist, remember?" Shadow said as she returned to my side. "Years ago, Zandalor the Wise told me that the dreaming gem was simply a projection of Haster's ego, and very vain he was too, from the glimpse I got before the spell began to fade." "But you risked your life," I cried, "and all for the 1,000 gold pieces you paid me to join your scheme back at the beginning," Shadow interrupted calmly. "That and the chance to match skills with Haster." "But what do I get out of this whole farce?" I howled. "A night of love with me, tall, green, and handsome," she replied with a twinkle in her eye. "Speaking of which," she added, "we've still got a few hours before dawn. I've never been stingy over paying debts." After barely a second's hesitation, I dropped the damn rock and followed happily after Shadow, who was heading for the gate in the garden wall, and from there I was certain to our cozy little camp. As I said before, Mama Blood Club raised no fools. The end of the adventure of the Dreaming Gem. Wonderful. I always hoped to read that. And the Adventures of Omar the Pirate, parts 1 through 4. The rest of these probably won't be as long. Let's see. Yeah, not even close. The Adventure of Omar the Pirate, Part 1. No one knows for sure where Omar really came from. He was one of the fiercest pirates who sailed the seas far to the north. Many merchants that suffered at Omar's hands hired many assassins and bounty hunters to track him down, but Omar was a cunning man. He lived a great deal of his life in the poor section of Rivertown, and he pillaged more than 300 merchants. Many who claimed to be close friends of the pirates oft spoke of a map tattooed on his back that marked the location of his greatest treasures. Part 2. The infamous pirate Omar was obsessed by the idea of becoming the most feared and bloody pirate in the history of all Rivellon. When he was upon the quarterdeck of his ship, his crew avoided looking straight into Omar's eyes. Omar sometimes claimed that he was a demigod in the guise of a man, and held it a sacrilege if people looked too directly on his countenance. Some have claimed, however, that this was a simple ruse to conceal his embarrassment over his strikingly ugly features. The One Piece, exactly. At the pinnacle of his career as a pirate, Omar made a fatal mistake. His growing fame and success caused him to become overly arrogant and blind to the dangers around him. He imagined himself invincible. Omar believed that no one could dare challenge him. He owned the most expensive ship in Rivellon, and his crew consisted only of loyal followers who would willingly give their lives for their leader. A growing number of high-ranking pirates and cutthroats in the area grew envious of Omar's success, and decided that the seas would be better off without the presence of the insufferable Omar. His fate was to die while lying in his bed with a dagger protruding from his chest. And part 4. After the death of the infamous pirate Omar, many tried to attain the same notoriety and fame that he so enjoyed. With an eye to becoming his successor, the next 2 years saw bloody battles as pirate fought pirate in a bitter and vicious struggle for power. The struggle between the pirates was a relief for the merchants, for they were able to trade in relative safety as pirates bickered and fought. One promising successor to Omar was a large, bullish individual known as Fletcher, a former mercenary who decided to take up the career as a pirate. Unfortunately, Fletcher was no sailor, and he and his entire crew perished when his orders resulted in the ship's course taking them all to their deaths on a stretch of treacherous reefs. Lovely. The art of making invisible ink. Brilliant. The Dark Elves. The Evil Kin of the Elven Folk by Ferreira. That's surely not how that's pronounced. The author claims to expose the existence of creatures he calls dark elves, living underground and hating any surface dweller. He blames them for much of the unexplained happenings in the world. Odd that no dwarf has ever mentioned these subterranean fiends, you can't help thinking. The Finest Mining Tunnels This Side of the Mountains by Piexo the Surveyor. Only the dwarves can see the beauty of mining tunnels. For example, the author describes enthusiastically, over more than 50 pages, the tone variations of the gray rock in certain lowland tunnel walls. The Golden Church. Just what does the Church of the Seven Gods do with all the gold donated by the common people? Another book for the Church's blacklist of blasphemous writings. The author has a point, though. The Merchant in the Apple Tree. There once lived a malicious and greedy merchant whose heart was filled with one desire only, to make as much money as possible. He decided to marry a very wealthy woman from Verdistis. She was considered ugly by many people and suffered countless cruel comments about her large and bloated face. After the marriage, the merchant did strangle her and bury her body in his garden. Several years passed, and the wealthy merchant lived a carefree life. A mighty apple tree grew on the very spot of her grave, and the apples looked delicious. One day the merchant went to the tree, plucked an apple, and ate it. Within minutes, the heartless merchant dropped dead. Mages who investigated his death were dumbfounded when they discovered that the apples had magical properties and contained a most rare and deadly poison. The Path of Life by Nemris the Wise. The lack of knowledge has extreme consequences. Oh, we've read that. Secret of a Long Life. The author of this book has his own theory about how to reach a great age. Only continuous training in the martial arts guarantee a long life. Unfortunately, as the later editor notes, the writer was unable to prove his theory because he died in a duel shortly after finishing the work. The White Lion. A young boy blessed with the gift of the magic enrolled himself into the famous mage school, Ryalor. The boy's name was Elgon, and he found himself under the tutelage of some of the most powerful wizards in Rivellon. When Elgon came of age, he soon discovered there was life beyond dark chambers filled with dusty spellbooks. One hot summer evening, he sneaked out of the academy and started a new life in the woods near the village of Alaroth. People soon discovered that Elgon's skills in polymorphing were unrivaled, and he would effortlessly transform himself into any forest animals he desired. But Elgon's favorite form was that of the white lion. It is said if you see a white lion bounding through the forest, it is none other than Elgon himself. The Witch and the Beast. Deep in the forest there lived a witch called Yar Germain. Her beauty and intelligence were unmatched in the realm, and at the age of 32, Yar Germain probably, decided to spend the rest of her life in the solitude of the forest. Legend has it that she befriended a mighty spirit who lived in the forest, and that she became his lover and gave birth to his child. Sadly, Yar Germain's newborn boy was ugly and looked more like a beast than a man-child. His whole body was covered in brown fur, and as the boy grew up in the forest, he looked more and more like a terrifying animal. He killed innocent people who ventured too near to Yar Germain's hut, and so she decided to end her son's pitiful existence. Once the spirit discovered what she had done, he strangled her. Now he haunts the area around Yar Germain's hut, with the spirit of his son beside him. Thelyron's Diary, Part 1. 24th Sem 10. 1207. The powering of the damned resurrection spell calls for more time than I've ever imagined. The thought of spending such a long time dead before I can be revived freezes my blood. I have too many dead enemies who would welcome my entry into hell. I must dedicate all my remaining time to find a way to grant myself eternal life. 31 Semten 1207. How mistaken I was to discuss my studies of death with the obtuse healers of Alaroth. They denounced me and called me a mindless murderer. Don't they understand that experimentation on lesser animals, such as rabbits, cats, and peasants, is necessary for the increase of knowledge? The fools! They will see the unbelievable power of my resurrection spell. I will return from the grave and to astound and slay them all. Ha 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 ha. Part 2. 32 Semten 1207. The healers are plotting against me. I know it. They are jealous of my mighty powers and wondrous knowledge. I must find a way to escape their prying investigations into my little experiments. But where can I go? Unless... Part 3. 4th Octavianus 1207. It is 3 weeks since I moved, with all my servants, notes, and equipment, into the catacomb system beneath Alaroth. Here I can continue with my studies of death undisturbed. Unfortunately, circumstances demand that we now live exclusively on a diet of rats, fungi, and occasionally crypt snake. This is rather dull, and I can't help noticing gives some of my servants wind. Diary Part 4. 10th Octavianus 1207. I've discovered the means to recall the dead as undead. This is far from proper resurrection, of course, but I'm on the right track at least. Killed all my servants yesterday by poisoning the rat stew. I've already recalled all of them from death as living skeletons. This not only saves me quite a bit in wages, but has also cleared up their flatulence problem. Part 5. 4th Octavianus, 1207. The resurrection spell works, but only with a complex device that I have recently completed. The spell uses the device as a catalyst. It's very important that I leave specific instructions for how my faithful undead servants can resurrect me after I die. Unfortunately, as I suspected many months ago, the device takes a few years to magically power up. I must resign myself to at least a decade in hell, being tortured by those I've already sent there. At least I'll be off the rat, toadstool, and snake diet. Still, perhaps I shall find a way to hang around the physical plane until the machine and spell are ready. Someone of my great talents should easily be able to become a ghost or possess some lesser being. Oh well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Time to die, I suppose. P.S. I shall return. Ah ha ha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha. Traveling through the woods. Traveling through the woods is a great risk these days. I remember well, several years ago, I absent-mindedly followed a trail and suddenly found myself in a troll lair. As I looked into the faces of those barely sane creatures, I immediately realized that even trolls appreciate their privacy, made hasty excuses, and left. Toldane, which is going to redirect to the Holy Book, I imagine. Let's double check. Yeah. What will happen to our society if the Divine One appears? According to the prophecy, the Divine One will lead our people into a better world, but what will this new world look like? I have read almost all texts about Reuben Farrell, the author of the prophecy. That's right. Reuben Farrell, was that Janus's father? Was a battle mage and the representative of the wizard race during the second assault of the damned in 611 AD. Son of Hark Farrell, who quelled the first assault of the Legion of the Damned, led by the Lord of Chaos 30 years prior. Yeah, that's right. At the time of the second assault on Rivellon, Reuben was the representative of the League of Seven for the wizard race. Yeah, Divine Divinity comes with this really interesting little, I wouldn't call it a short story about this, about this fight between the League of Seven and the Lord of Chaos. Lord of Chaos being the ultimate antagonist of Divine Divinity, who possessed Janus to take over. Following 6 months of assault by the Damned and the forced retreat to Stormfist Castle, Reuben conjured a plan to defeat the Lord of Chaos and his second in command, Ulthring. With heavy casualties to the League's forces, an orchestrated assault and choreographed retreat allowed the League to separate Ulthring and Chaos from the Legion. As Ulthring and Chaos led the charge following the retreat of the League was able to maneuver behind them and engage the Legion forces, while the Legion's leaders and Reuben's apprentice Ralph engaged the leaders of the Legion. Following the death of the other 6 leaders, Reuben stood defiantly in front of Chaos, who plunged his arm into Reuben, killing him. However, this final act completed the divine ritual, and Reuben's blood on the demon lord turned a brilliant white, destroying his physical form. According to the prophecy, the Divine One will lead our people into a better world, but what will this new world look like? I have read almost all texts about Reuben Farrell, the author of the prophecy, and the more I study those tenets, the more inconsistencies I find. What kind of person would this Divine One be? Will every living being see his vision for the new world, or will the Divine One select people? If the Divine One will change the face of this world, it is almost certain he will destroy all evil. I do not like the thought of something being destroyed, even if it is evil. Can the Divine One really distinguish between good and evil? Or will he choose randomly? And then, just to refresh my memory on the prophecy. Oh, pre-story to Divine Divinity. No, yeah, this is what I was talking about just now. The prophecy takes place in 611 AD, detailing skirmishes between Chaos and the Legion of the Damned and the League of the Seven, led by Reuben Farrell. Driven back to Stormfist Castle, the League was besieged by the Legion and the demonic partners. Reuben is passed the prophecy of the Divine One in a dream, which in turn enables him to set forth a plan to push back the dark forces and decapitate the Legion. The 7 leaders of the League sacrifice themselves in direct combat with Chaos. As the Dark Lord takes down Reuben, the last of the leaders to stand in his path, he is engulfed by a divine light, removing his presence from Rivellon. During the battle, Ralph, Reuben's adept, defeats Chaos's general, Ulthring, dealing the final blow with the Dark General's possessed sword. Their leaders, I imagine, creating the Sword of Lies. Their leaders killed in battle, the Legion scatters, with the League eliminating the routing troops. Right. It's all coming back to me. I'm really glad that it is. Why Our World is Circling the Sun. Written by Galolay, the Imp. The author was obviously mad. He claims our world goes round the sun, not vice versa. Couldn't he use his eyes? It's obvious the sun circles around the world. Very good. Right, okay, cool. I'm not going to look at the notes because they're all, quest items, right? Yeah, this is all to do with quests. I'm not going to worry about this. Except for maybe this manuscript in Death Pit. Okay, no. Yeah, cool. Throughout that whole playthrough of Divine Divinity 3.5 years ago, I always told myself I was collecting all of the books to one day read them, and now I have found that day. So, that's Divine Divinity. I am going to, like I said, look at maybe just even a brief summary of Beyond Divinity. but we'll go ahead and at least look at the main quests. No, we don't want to do that if we just... Beyond Divinity quests. I think Beyond Divinity is a lot more concerned with gameplay from the impression I get. So, second game in the Divinity series, which followed up on Divine Divinity. You are a servant of the divine, scourge of necromancers and sorcerers alike. Your purpose in life is to fight all that is evil using any means possible. Your dilemma: during an intense battle with one of the great necromancers, a demon drags you into its universe. There you are soul forged with a death knight. You are cursed and destined to spend the rest of eternity bonded to this creature of evil. Or maybe not. The Death Knight dislikes the soul forging as much as you do, and together you embark on a great adventure. You both have a common goal: to undo the soul forging. You and your unlikely companion quickly figure out that the only way to rid this curse is if you unlock the secret of rift running, an ancient art that allowed the prison universe's indigenous population to travel between universes. Your quest is set: to become a rift runner. Plot: set in the realm of Nemesis in 1238 AD, Damien, under the guise of a Death Knight, is soul-forged to a paladin who fell through a rift created by the demon Samuel. The two are forced to work together to escape Nemesis. Right. So Damien is the baby that you don't kill? I think that you choose canonically not to kill at the end of Divine Divinity, that the Lord of Chaos was trying to bind itself into. I remember there being a baby, and it was Damien. And then this paladin is the other main character. Damien is the Death Knight. Maybe you do kill the baby, and that's how he ends up becoming the... The backstory of this game is covered in novella Child of the Chaos. Second novella in the Divinity series by Rihanna Pratchett. Right, yeah. Terry Pratchett's daughter did a lot of the lore writing for Divinity. Story precursors to the events of Beyond Divinity. We'll just look at the overview. There's canon contradictions, but that's why we're playing the games in order. Following the defeat of the Black Ring in 1218, the recovery of the baby Damien by Lucian. Oh, you recover the baby, you don't kill it. Cool. Shadow of the Chaos tells of the upbringing of Damien under the Divine's care. Even as a baby, Damien is able to wield the powers of chaos, and as he grows, his power does. As a teenager, Damien becomes a part of the Paladins, freeing Lucian to investigate the Black Ring sightings. During these years, the gods begin to meddle in mortal affairs, leading Lucian to the Rift Temple and through the rifts to other dimensions, including modern-day Earth. Damien also meets Aegirna, as a seemingly unassuming witch, who is in fact the daughter of a Black Ring necromancer who was executed by the Divine and his paladins. Working for the Ring, Aegirna reveals some of the power within Damien. Events during their relationship reveal her true intentions to Lucian, who summarily executes her after interrogation. Damien, seeing her execution by accident, turns against the Divine and joins the Ring as their leader. During a showdown between Lucian and Damien at the Rift Temple, Damien is sealed within Nemesis, his memory erased, taken in by Ranar, who attempts to return him to the realm from which he came. Damien slowly recovers his memories, but does not reveal this to his hosts. Unable to return him, the Elder travels through to Rivellon and discovers the truth behind Damien. Whilst the Elder is journeying, Damien steals the protective shield of Ron from their temple, enabling the demonic realm to enter Ron lands once more. After a bitter battle, of which the Ron are constantly on the losing end, Asmodeus finally ends the battle, taking the Elder's daughter as his slave and Nemesis as his realm. Damien's location remains unknown at the end of the story. Right. Okay. So that is how Damien ended up in Nemesis. Now... Yeah, no, see, there are no side quests. I'm pretty sure Beyond Divinity is a significantly smaller and more self-contained... Oh, no. What am I thinking? There are side quests. That is what this says right here. But very few and far between. This page is apparently a stub. It could just be that nobody played Beyond Divinity. Could we maybe... I genuinely would just like a brief overview of what happens in Beyond Divinity. So let me... Beyond Divinity plot synopsis. Yeah, fuck it. No, thank you. Surprise. Oh, well, yeah, because I'm not using a VPN. Beyond Divinity happened roughly at the same time as Original Sin too, but it has no direct connection to it. The actual relevant... I don't know if that's true. Really? Really? Oh, this fucking dickhead. Thank you. Here. What does that yield? Beyond Divinity story. Yeah, it leads you to the wiki. I came here because the wiki's not helpful. These fucking people, man. Basically, at the end of Divine Divinity, kills the Demon of Lies, which was a fragment of the Lord of Chaos, but it's too late to stop the ritual to summon the Lord into a mortal vessel that was a human child. Lucian didn't want to kill a newborn, so he adopts him, names him Damien, tries to raise him as a good paladin. Goes well until Damien finds himself a girlfriend. Turns out to be, yeah, we've read that already. Later, Damien gets adopted by the natives, who happen to be planewalkers, learns planewalking from them, is unable to visit that one world for some reason, which makes him remember his past, so he throws a fit yet again, kills everyone, and summons a demon army to conquer the planet. Shit happens when Lucian's paladins get spirited away to a different world when fighting a necromancer of the Black Ring. Damien sees his chance and devises a plan with the archdemon Asmodeus to soulforge himself to the paladin and pretend to be a lowly death knight who failed his masters and gets tortured along with the paladin. Beyond Divinity starts, and it's just the Paladin Damien duo's merry adventures with a prison break and assembling the Rift Crystal that will allow the Paladin to open a portal to Rivellon and bring Damien along with him. Once there, the enemies turned allies turn enemies once again when Damien reveals his identity, breaks the Soul Forge, and fights the paladin to a standstill. Seeing that neither can win that fight, he just teleports while saying that he totally would beat the paladin but found him worthy, so he will spare his life. Trust me, bro. Okay. Cool. I don't want to learn about Original Sin just yet. I really do just kind of want to, like, it sounds like it genuinely is. It's a bunch of side quests in hell, and eventually they get out and they become enemies again, and the backstory is revealed, and they come to a stalemate, and then he fucks off, and maybe Damien becomes interesting and part of the deal again. Anything on divinity.com, maybe? There he is. Well, there's Damien. This is the paladin. Yeah. Not helpful. It's a shame, because I really would like, I love a plot synopsis of this. But you don't really get any info on it. What about Beyond Divinity guides? Yeah, no one's really... It sounds like I know everything I need to. At this point, it seems like I didn't make a mistake by choosing not to play Beyond Divinity. But it would be cool if I could just... I mean, look, here's the act, right? Prison break, Samuel's lair, bunch of caves and stuff. Act 3, Zandalor's ruins. 4 acts. Yeah. Without surprise, the riddler asks you a riddle. The answer is hate. Yeah, this is gonna be like very quick what you actually do, not really talking about the story. Oh, it's a shame too. I would love just a synopsis, you know? Maybe even a little bit more, like an act by act synopsis would be great. What is this Larian Vault? Yeah. That's kind of crazy. If you want to know what happens in Beyond Divinity, it seems like you kind of have to play it, but I'm not doing that. Here, let me try this again. Beyond Divinity plot synopsis. I mean, we could check IMDb. Nah, that's pulled straight from the wiki. We could check Wikipedia. Gameplay, synopsis. Yeah, people didn't love the game. And yeah, this article's kind of a stub as well. Beyond Divinity explained? Yeah, I'm aware. Maybe synopsis really isn't the right word that I'm looking for. It seems like it's pretty inconsequential, all things considered. I know what the deal is with Damien. I know who he is. I know what ended up happening to him at the end of the game. Um, ah. This might actually be useful. Beyond Divinity is a role-playing game. Game plays out in 4 acts over a vast territory. The player begins in a large dungeon-like jail area and progresses out into a more open landscape. Once escaping the prison, eventually exploring an imp village, monster-infested forest, atmospheres of fire and ice, as well as numerous mysterious islands that line the journey. Unlike Divine Divinity, there is no open-world gameplay. The game advances in a comparatively linear fashion. Interesting. There's a variety of non-player characters, including friendlies and monsters of various types, many subquests. How old is this? I don't love this. Who wrote this? Am I reading a real human's work? They should make it easier to know when an article was written. I think this is the best I'm gonna get, though, whether it was written by a person or not. Okay, fair enough. Many subquests can be discovered by interacting with NPCs, many of which are optional. In addition to the main game questing, there are separate battlefield areas within each act that have nothing to do with the main plot, but are accessed by finding special keys in the main game, intended to help the player increase the skills of the 2 controlled characters. These accessory areas have more quests, multi-level dungeons, as well as merchants and special objects that cannot be found elsewhere. Yeah, but you're not really telling me about the story, are you? Not any more than I've already learned. Without playing it, I think that's everything I'll ever be able to learn about Beyond Divinity. Grokkapedia. I don't like the sound of that. Maybe before 2021 I would have been down with Grokkapedia. How about page 2? I mean, Larian is surely aware that nobody fucking played this game. Nobody really cares that much. Divine Divinity starts with the Black Ring capturing an angel and starting a ritual to destroy her. She splits into 3 to escape and enters 3 humans who become marked ones. Right. I forgot about the angel at the beginning of Beyond Divinity and that whole deal. The player character, one who gets himself killed because he is stupid, and one who gets himself killed because he is gullible and stupid. After this, the character awakes in a small healing village of Alaroth, and can do some quests and looting for the Catacombs leaving. Zandalar shows up. Yeah, I'm aware of that. We just looked at that. Unwilling to kill a baby, the hero takes him to raise himself. With Zandalar's help, which doesn't turn out very well. That is covered in the BD novella, including the fan site kit with a summary here and in Beyond Divinity. The fan site kit also includes the background story to Divine Divinity, covering the previous war with Lord of Chaos. I've read those things, not on stream, but I read the backstory to Divine Divinity, not the other thing, not the Beyond Divinity novella, but we read a summary that's going to have to do. And Beyond Divinity, well, here, how long is it? Because I'm starting to like the idea of just half of the stream being this, and then... Yeah. that link doesn't lead to anything anymore. When was this posted? Oh, 2009. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Summary here. Where does this lead? Yeah, no, those links are dead. Fair enough. We read a summary of the game, and then the Child of Chaos is the other. How long is the Child of Chaos then? The Child of Chaos Pratchett. That's not how you spell Pratchett. We read that. Yeah, go for it. Is this just... That's just the picture. Okay. See something. How long is it? Is it like... It's a novella. I imagine it's about as long as it's 55 pages. I mean, I'm not reading a 55-page book right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if it comes with the game and the game files, but anyway. In Beyond Divinity, the main character is a follower of the Divine One, who set up a group of paladins to hunt down the remains of the Black Ring, who was pulled into another realm nemesis by a demon when trying to take down a necromancer. After getting soul-forged with a Death Knight, the two escape prison and try to find a way to get back into Rivellon to undo the soul forge, as this happened to be where Damien was banished. Along the way, they see after effects of his actions and learn more about what happened up to that point. Of course, Damien shows up at the end and manages to break his banishment, which is where D2ED and its backstory take over the plotline. I doubt the details of Nemesis are directly relevant to Divinity 2's plot, so suffice to say that as Damien attempted to get back to Rivellon, he became increasingly frustrated, angry, cruel, and obsessed. The main connection to Divinity 2's plot is with the novella events summary link above, and we read the novella. Cool. All right. I don't. It sounds like not a whole lot happens after the Paladin and Damien just hit that stalemate and decide not to fight anymore. So Damien's fate is sort of left for further games to explore. So I think with that, we're actually ready to start the game. Yeah, and I don't see why not. We can go ahead and pause. Oh, hang on. That's right, that button doesn't pause it anymore. I really don't know why. I wouldn't want to pause it, why? Shocking lack of combat music in the Divine Divinity OST. I was expecting a lot more of that to be, like, really high BPMs and stuff. Okay, I am going to grab a drink real quick, and then we'll play Divinity 2. Oh, and here, why don't I, Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to keep my mic over there. Let's do that again. So, I'm going to stop the recording there. That was just a refresher on what happens in Divine Divinity and Beyond Divinity.